Welcome along to our latest weekend for the World Endurance League. Richard Joel Lask here. And literally just hot-footed it into the studio is Jack Oliphant. Hello, Jack. How are you going? You're looking very dapper there in your bow tie. I always meant to say that last time.
Thank you very much, Richard. I have to say, I would say the same. I think we need you in a bow tie next time as well. I just about got here in about 20 seconds left to spare, but I'm very much prepared and looking forward to what the drivers can whip up for us here at Le Mans, which is, of course, the last World Endurance League for the next sort of about 2 or 3 months, really. We've got the calendar about to pop up on your screen now, in fact, so we can take you through everything that we've got going on in terms of the World Endurance League. You'll see, actually, that we're halfway through, which is really exciting to know. I mean, it feels like it's flown by, even though we started all the way back in January the 17th. Of course, we've got the BMW Cup coming up soon, which means we have about 8 weeks off before July the 3rd is the next round at Sao Paulo. If you're unfamiliar with the World Endurance League, well, you can see the cars on offer there. Live broadcast, 90-minute races, so not the usual 225s, full 90 even through a normal qualifying run as well. First, second, and third trophies and all the good stuff. But, Richard, there's some things to look back on, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely right. The last round, a couple of weeks ago, saw Joel Lask take the honours from Johnny Ogden. Is Johnny with us this weekend? Just having a quick look. I think he was going to take time out, wasn't he, to real racing, which we'll come on to as the evening unfolds. And Adam Lyall in third place. So Adam currently ninth in the standings, which we'll come on to in a minute. But that really did leap him up the order. But Joel Lask taking the honours. He's running strongly in the championship. Johnny Ogden taking P2. And that puts him fourth in the championship. Again, we'll come on to the full standings a little bit later on. And drama for Eric Axelsen last time. But that's why we have dropped scores. That's how that has come into play. And as we reach the halfway stage, as Jack said, things are going to get very, very interesting indeed. Let's take a look at the championship standings. Eric Axelsen is your championship leader, but it's very narrow indeed because he's only got a 2-point lead over Jack Smith. Joel Lask next up from Johnny O. Ben Smith fifth, with Andy Carroll next up from Chris Blakey. Kai Kakashiwa is in 8th from Adam Lyall, and Oliver Gibson in 10th. I'll rattle through these because we might be able to catch up some time that we lost on with some technical difficulties which we had. Josh Martin in 11th from Paul Laramie and Sam Milner. Craig Curtis in 14th from Brad Smith. Kees Willems next up from Thomas Potter. Livia Krzyzanowska is next from Lee Piercy, and John Jones wrapping up our top 20. 21st, Alec Iyengar, Julian Owandi 22nd from Mark Stokes, Kenny Press, Tom Churchhouse and Stuart Vickers. Now, the Le Mans circuit, probably very few of you need telling too much about Le Mans, but a truly historic circuit. It's one that I've personally not visited. I've commentated in post-production many, many times on the track in terms of Lotus Cup Europe and truck racing, which race on the shorter circuit, but obviously watched many an event on the main track, which, as you can see from the graphic, opened way back in 1923. Absolutely mega track. It has developed with the times, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on our hot lap. So if you haven't got yourself down to Le Mans yet, you really must do. Everyone keeps saying to me, yep, we're going to get me down there, and I will do that at some stage. Got some great friends involved in the World Endurance scene of things. But let's have Rich Hayden take us round on our hot lap. We start coming through the Ford chicanes just to end the previous lap. So this is the run on, and then we'll go onto the grid lines, down across the start-finish line, and head onto a lap of La Sarve. First thing we're going to hit on is the Ford chicane. Now, bear in mind, this is going to be around about a 4-minute lap, so we've got a bit of time to feature in a little bit of history for you as we go through the Ford chicane, heading up towards Dunlop Curve. Now you can see the Dunlop Bridge there, which brings the spectators over onto the infield, ideal for absolutely a long race, through the Dunlop chicane, and then through into the S's, the Forest S's, as it was known probably in days of yore. The trees are no longer there, unfortunately, but it is very much a keen place to watch the cars. Tetra Rouge is next up. Always a little bit bittersweet for me, Tetra Rouge, because it's where we lost Alan Stevenson, who was a great friend, worked for a team that I worked with back in the day. And Alan, we lost him back in 1986, the great Danish GT and single-seater driver, very sadly. Then we get on to the Mulsanne Straight. Now, this is a long one. We've got breathing space here, and the drivers have time here to, in the words of Derek Bell, who always go by when we're at Le Mans, relax a little bit. Derek Bell says we're into the first chicane. Chicanes were added in 1990 to slow things down, and it's a mixed bag for some drivers. My ITV colleague Tim Harvey drove the circuit in anger in a Spice sports car and said that he's glad he did it in the pre-chicane era. I can't think of anything more scary. They were doing ridiculous speeds before they had the two chicanes added in, and that was due to FIA amendments which said that you're not allowed anything more than 2 kilometres, 1.2 miles in terms of straights, which I think, as we go into the second chicane on the Mulsanne Straight, equates to the longest straight on the old Nürburgring, I think, from memory. So this run, 3.7 miles long, punctuated with the 2 chicanes, equally spaced out, and that takes us down towards the Mulsanne corner. That's going to be our next port of call. Virtually, it's an acute angle. It's a right-hand corner, and we're still very much at top speed. Although it's called a straight, you'll see little curves here and there. Here we are into Mulsanne now. Out of there, heading down Indianapolis Straight towards the left-hander at Indianapolis corner. Again, if you look at a circuit map, the straights when you're actually in car doing these top speeds come out a lot longer than you think. So heading down towards Indianapolis now. Again, a great place for spectators to get close up to the cars here and really see what is going on this circuit. Prior to Alan Stevenson, the driver before that to sadly lose his life here at Le Mans was Joe Gartner. That was, I think, one of the ones. We had a fatality as well in qualifying a few years after that, and that's why they made some of the changes. But now we're coming into Armage corner, having come out of Indianapolis into Armage, and then we're pretty much on a home run. We've still got some curves to negotiate. The first group of curves that we're going to come up to are the Porsche curves, but again you can see the amount of straight that we get here. It's very much, and was always very much, a flat out circuit with several technical parts, and it was all about the speed and the endurance. Here we come into the Porsche curves then. Superb track as we come through here to Armage on the exit of the Porsche curves, heading down towards the Ford chicane again, towards where we picked up on our lap with Rick Caden. And very nearly at the end of our run, which is going to lead us very nicely into our qualifying session. You can see the pit lane entrance there on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side rather, through the Ford chicane again. Here we come, exiting the Ford chicane onto this straight where we've seen so many victory celebrations over the years. In front of the main grandstand, a big crowd, and across the line to complete a lap of La Sarve. And Rich Hayden was the final 55.34, and that is the times that we've had thus far today in testing. So Rich has obviously got a big handle on what is going on. Qualifying is underway. I suspect we might have possibly caught up with time. Who is leading at the moment? As I'm going to talk to Jack, it's actually another Jack who tops the times at the moment, Jack Smith.
Yeah, I don't think Jack Smith raced with us 2 weeks ago, did he? I don't think Oliver Gibson did either, which is a bit of a shame because we definitely did miss the 2 drivers. There's certainly some of the quicker participants we have in the VRRC, and you can clearly tell that because Jack Smith is not only satisfied with pole position, he's actually up on his time in purple sector 1. Now, a lot of the drivers, like we've just seen, and you had to talk through all of that lap, Richard, so well done to you, because it was a long lap. Sector 1 is 1 minute 38. So you can actually do 1.5 laps of Brands Hatch Indy and still only be sector 1 of Le Mans. So it is a bit ridiculous, isn't it, how quickly these cars go, but how long the circuit is.
That's a really good comparison, Jack. You know, we're getting ready for Brands Hatch BTCC in 3 weeks' time. I've just been actually script writing on my sort of closing down parts. We're at Donington this weekend, and the scripts obviously at the end of that programme allude to where we're going after that, and Brands Hatch Indy, and you kind of... Brands Hatch is never Mickey Mouse, it never has been, but compared to this, it is, isn't it, the Indy track, 1.2 miles?
It's ridiculously so. It's a bit scary, really, isn't it? About how the sort of difference in, even though Brands Hatch is so small in terms of the the lap time and stuff like that, and obviously the track length, shall we say, but it still poses just as many questions to a lot of drivers as Le Mans does or the Nürburgring. So it really does a bit of a testament to that. But that's enough about Brands Hatch. We're talking about Le Mans, aren't we? And it's a fantastic circuit. It does pose an awful lot of challenges. I like the chicanes. I realise that the people who are addicted to speed and the adrenaline rush and everything like that probably, like Tim Harvey, maybe say that he's glad he did it back in the day. But as a neutral who just likes racing, I think the chicanes actually offer up a lot of action and overtaking opportunity, which can only really be a good thing in my opinion.
Right, that's what many of the other drivers have said, you know, and most of the editorial commentary on it will say that those two chicanes have added opportunities for passes, and anything that adds to safety. I mean, you know, you look at history of motorsport, you look at the development of any formula over the years, and it's inevitable that tracks are going to be amended. I'm not going to say watered down, but, you know, are going to have to be made safe because of the increases in speed. And that's exactly what's happened at Le Mans, and that it's given us those potential passing places. What concerns me, and you'll know more because you'll have probably done virtual events here, is whether we're going to have the same level of attrition. I was hoping you were going to jump in and say attrition, and I'd say bless you, but it didn't happen.
Oh no, it's not. I missed it. I did think, I was like, is he struggling with the word attrition? What's going on here? But yes, it's. I think. And to be honest, I'm not actually sure because iRacing, and which I have driven this circuit on iRacing, got a set of course to do their tyre degradation a little bit differently. We've got 6.5 minutes left to go, and I don't think he's doing much work. I'm wondering whether we can bring Rich Hayden in to maybe answer that question because he's probably the best source of knowledge on this. Rich, have you got a minute?
I do.
Yeah, well, what's you've probably been listening to us wittering on. What's the tyre degradation situation like on around Le
Mans? So the Mercedes is very quick, but it's quite hard on its tyres.
Right.
BMW is riding the curbs really well, which is allowing the BMW guys to be able to straighten out those corners a little bit more than the other guys, and he's quite good on its tyres as well. The Lamborghini is struggling on the straights, but it's extremely quick in the twisty stuff. And the Lexus is just got one sole Lexus with Olivia, but that's a kind of a mix between the Mercedes and the BMW. So I think we will see the BMs go long on their tyres, and I think that we will be seeing the Mercedes slightly shorter.
Well, that's a prediction from a man who knows.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So we've got James and Carroll. How many Lambos we've got? Have we Paul Laramie out there? Let's have a quick look down the running order. Yeah, we've got. Sorry, Jack.
We've got John Jones as well, and Mark Stokes and Josh Martin, who are all in the Lamborghini. Yep. Now, normally we'd have MX Axelson.
Yeah, he's not racing tonight.
The leading Lamborghini usually, but he doesn't seem to be here tonight, which is a big shame. So we may well not see the Lamborghini quite get up to the front, but as Rich said, it may be just struggling a little bit. What's nice to see is the BMW, Mercedes is the front two rows at the moment. So with Jack Smith in the BMW in the Merc, Blakey in the BMW, Curtis in the Merc. So it's and in fact that pattern actually carries on all the way down to 6. So the front 3 rows are sort of mixed together with those 2 different types of cars. Yeah,
good to see a mix, isn't it? And with the time, you're not actually going to get that many laps. They've got to be on it fairly quickly. We've got a little bit of a change of form. I know Rich was talking about shortening the race to an hour. Pleased to say we've still got our full hour-and-a-half race, which is great. But Rich has been working hard behind the scenes to look at how we maybe present things a little bit differently. And we've got the opportunity to basically talk to more drivers over the course of our broadcast tonight, which I'm really excited about and looking forward to. So I think we've got an element of we can pick and choose a little bit. So if they behave themselves, Jack, we'll pick them.
Absolutely. It'd be quite nice to have a chat to a few more drivers, and especially during the race and everything like that. And Rich is obviously always here to talk as well. So don't worry, viewers, you won't just be bored by me and Richard for the entire time. There will be opportunities to listen to drivers and get
drivers as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. We'll try and pick some entertaining ones, although there's not many, is there? No, I'm kidding, obviously. I think we had a chat to last week, this sort of a new format format style thing was actually, we sort of tested it, didn't we, 2 weeks ago with Josh Martin, who ended up DNFing, coming in and having a chat with us, which was a good sort of insight. And we ended up having about a 10-minute talk to him, didn't we, which was quite nice. So fingers crossed everybody else plays game, and we don't want to hear after anybody who's been DNFing, obviously, but if they can talk to us while they're on the big long straights, then that would still be good to get the insight.
Absolutely right. Still Jack Smith on pole position, but since I last made a note, we've got Oliver Gibson up into P2, Joel Lask down to Chris Blakey in 4th place, and Craig Curtis, Ben Smith in 6th, Adam Lyall 7th, and Johnny Ogden. So Johnny is out there and in 8th place. And remind me to talk about Johnny O when we go racing and get a little bit of time to focus on him and his real world exploits at the weekend, which I didn't see, but such is the way that these broadcasts work, and anything you get involved with is I always take an active interest wherever I can, and you know, drivers that are racing on other things and try and follow what they're up to. And he was racing in Focus Cup at the weekend in the MSV meeting at Donington Park, so we look forward to talking about that and following his progress for the rest of the year as we look at, so is that Chris Blakey? I'm really struggling to read the timing tower on this one, because I'm basically the commentary equivalent of Mr. Magoo when it comes to small screens, which we're working on at the moment. What's the feed like, though? Is the feed that's going out, is that pretty much full screen? Or?
Yeah, feed's okay, yeah.
Great stuff. Okay. So, yeah, just a little technical thing happening here. Let's try with. So, we've got, Jack Smith.
Oh, Chris Blakey. Just going off on the outside there, Rich, while you were having I think Chris Blakey just going a little bit wide. Bit of a shame because he was on a semi-decent run. I mean, his first sector wasn't anything to write home about. It wasn't fastest, but wasn't too far off. Oliver Gibson, you mentioned before. Well, a lot of VRRC listeners may well know, but I don't know if you've covered Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson before. Richard, have you?
No, I haven't, no.
Ah, well, then, we can tell you that Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson are actually brothers. Don't let the second name fool you, but yeah, they are actually brothers. I think Oliver's slightly younger, Jack Smith is slightly older, and he does a good job of, well, Jack's, they're both excellent drivers. Oliver is slowly getting just touch closer to Jack Smith every time we see him race.
They're doing well. Again, little technical thing here. I've got a...
Yeah, it's coming back in a second.
It's coming back. Rich is busy sorting that out for us. So Joel Lask in 3rd place at the moment, and Chris Blakey in 4th. Hey, we are there. Rich Hayden is a technical guru. Well done, my friend.
So that's just so you know, guys, that's the feed straight from Assetto Corsa. So that's not our broadcast feed, but we can do this during the race. It should be okay.
That's great stuff. So Johnny Ogden. So I'll tell you what. While we've got Johnny Ogden on, did you happen to check, Jack? I don't know whether you've probably got more interesting things to do, but I was around at the weekend. And do you know how Johnny did in Focus Cup?
I unfortunately do not know. No, can you educate us?
Yeah, okay. So qualified 9th out of 15, so he's inside the top 10. Anyone qualifying? First race, wait for it, bated breath, drum roll, DNF. Second race, started off the back, DNF.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is, you know, and the Focus Cup is, I think, you know, like rental drive. So I'm sure there'll be conversations had about, you know, I don't know if it was mechanical, whether he got taken out or whatever, but either way, there'll be conversations to be had. And let's hope he has better luck at the ongoing round. So, yeah, a bit of a shame for Johnny Ogden, but hopefully no such problems for him today. 7th quickest at the moment. As we look at Craig Curtis, currently in 3rd place, so none too shabby in terms of qualifying. Checkers coming up. Now's qualifying is ended, so it's Jack Smith that looks like he's annexed that pole position in good time. Joel Lask getting back into P2 from Craig Curtis, Oliver Gibson down into 4th.
Yeah, Craig Curtis putting in a really good time there at the end, actually, didn't he? And he just crossed the line in time to put another lap in, which means we don't need to rush to the advert break or anything like that, because things may well change. We'll see if he does seem to be down by half a second or so, 4/10 of a second, so it doesn't look like Craig is going to worry Jack Smith too much. Anyway, Johnny Ogden and Mark Stokes are two of the other 2 drivers who are still on a lap. This actually happened, Richard, with me on an iRacing event once. We were doing MX5s around Le Mans, and it was a 20-minute race. and the person who was in first place crossed the line with 3 seconds to go, which meant we had another lap, and the laps were 7 minutes long.
I was going to say, it's about one lap, isn't it, in an MX-5?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think in total there were 5 laps in this race, and it meant that we had to keep going for another sort of 7 minutes. And they did 3 races in the evening. I was like, oh my days, it's just dragging this. But yeah, no, luckily, I don't think we'll have quite as long a time to wait here in the GT cars. Again, Craig Curtis seems to be a little bit slower, unfortunately. So I think it's probably about that time we're probably safe enough to maybe shoot to a quick advert while we have it, and then when we come back, we can have a chat to not only Jack Smith, but hopefully a few of the drivers on the grid.
So let's have a word with our pole position man, Jack Smith. Jack, super job, mate. Well done. How are you feeling?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a great lap, to be fair. It was the first one I made sure was a banker lap, and that ended up being the pole lap. So, yeah, I just tried to keep it within track limits throughout the whole lap, and then for the second, push my luck, and then I messed it up at the end. So, yeah, but 54.6 to get pole. Yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit closer, to be honest. I thought Ollie and Joel would be right behind me because I think Joel was fastest in practice just before this. So yeah, I'm surprised to be the only one in the 54s, really.
That's really, really impressive stuff. And there isn't much chance, is there, in that short session with the length of the lap to, sort of have too many goes at it?
Yeah, I think myself, I had about 2 laps. So yeah, you just have to get it right once. And that's all you really have to do. Make sure that first one is legal and is somewhat on pace and everything. So I try my best to get it, between those two attributes, and then managed to get that lap. So I'm fairly happy with that. But yeah, I just have to turn it into race pace now.
So obviously you set the lap in the BMW. Have you tried any of the other configurations? What made you plump for the BM?
To be honest, the BM, I've always had a liking towards BMs. I've been driven one in real life and everything. So yeah, just chose it just because it's a BM, really. I didn't really do too much testing in the other cars because me and Ollie both know what we wanted to go with anyway with the BM, and it just so happens to like this track. So yeah, we're liking it here.
Is there always bragging rights between you two, by the way?
Yeah, sometimes Ollie's fairly humble, and so am I. So we like to sort of edge each other on a bit, but yeah, it can sometimes have a bit of bragging rights between us. So yeah, I've definitely got them coming away from here.
Yeah, cool. It looks like, as long as you have a good run, and I don't want to put the curse of the commentator on you, as long as you have a good run, obviously with last week being your drop score with a non-start, we'll come to that in a minute, but the other 2 starts that you've had both on the podium, you had the win at Qatar and then the podium at Imola as well, so great start to the campaign. Where were you last week, by the way?
Last week, so I'm at university in a minute, so I was fairly busy with exams, so I couldn't make it for that one. But yeah, the Imola round that was not too bad. I struggled a bit with the extra weight that was put on the car, so I did all my testing with a setup that was based on the lighter weight, and then as soon as I went to the race with heavier weight, it threw everything off. So yeah, I'm happy this time that I've got the setup tuned around the extra weight. So yeah, it's worked a treat for this one for sure.
That's good. Have we got cars on the grid? So we'll come to that in a minute. I was just going to say, with the university thing, a lot of universities now really getting involved in the motorsport scene. Are you racing anything for real? Are you involved in the karting scene or the engineering scene now? What are you up to?
Yeah, so I do motorsport engineering. So I've been involved in Formula Student. I drove for that for one of the years in 2021. We ended up winning in that in the dynamic events for that one as well. I've driven a BMW M3 Evo in real life, the E36. That was a great opportunity, and I got a P2 on debut for that. So yeah, I was well happy with that, and it was a mega experience. It makes me it adds another dimension to the sim because you realize how realistic it actually is. So
Yeah.
it really transfers, and I think I was up to pace in 4 laps in the real car from having never driven before. So it really shows just how simulators they can actually transfer all that learning to real life as well. So it's a big step, but anyone can do it really. So
That's excellent. Joe, I haven't asked you the key question. Is what uni are you studying at?
I'm at the University of Central Lancashire in Preston.
All right. Is that local to where you're from originally?
It's across the country, but yeah, it's about an hour and a half away from where I originate in East Yorkshire. So yeah, fair bit away, but it's been good for the amount of time I've been here. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Tactics for the race, finally.
Yeah, so I've put in about 3/4 of a tank, hoping that'll give enough pace and all that for the first stint. Tires, I did a bit of a test beforehand; they look pretty good, tire wear wise. So not too worried about that. It's more about the fuel, just making sure we can get the most out of both runs. Probably would be pitting around the halfway mark. So yeah, we'll see. Me and Ollie should be running a similar sort of strat, depending on what happens.
That's cool. And so, are you actually doing are you at home for the sim race, or do you do it in digs?
I'm at the uni accommodation at the minute. I got my simulator just thrown up against the end of my bed. So yeah, it's a bit cramped, but I had to get the sim up here. So
That's pretty good. And how much time do you get with the studies? I mean, is it sort of every spare minute or otherwise?
Especially in these last few months, I've had to really knuckle down with it. So hence why I wasn't at the last round and everything. So yeah, just making sure that I can get the best grade possible for the end, and then we're coming to the end of it now. Hence why I'm back in the seat again. So but yeah, trying my best.
That's good. Mind you, I can always roll out my usual phrase for youngsters and studying. It is work-related learning, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I've learned more from the simulator about car setup than I have from university. So
do you know what? It doesn't surprise me, and that's not to denigrate any of the courses that youngsters go on. But yeah, there's a lot more happening. My son's learning more about engineering. Actually, he got a part-time job because you have to get 30 hours or something experience, and he's learned far more being on the job than he has with his exams. But he's got to see it through to get the qualification, which is
exactly.
Great stuff, Jack. Lovely to talk to you, and hopefully we'll talk to you on the podium a little bit later on, and maybe during the race as well. But congratulations on pole, super job, and look forward to chatting to you later on.
Cheers, Richard.
So, who are we going to pick on the grid? Because we could do a virtual grid walk, can't we? So I'll let Jack have first dibs here.
Well, I was going to say what I'll do first. What was that?
Even better.
Fair enough. I was going to say that's what I was about to try and bring in was Josh Martin. I was going to speak to you, Josh, first. You were the second person to be pulled into the interview room, but you're not second on the grid. I won't say exactly where you are, but it's not close to the front, is it? What happened here?
I think you'll be a bit tired if you walk to where I am on the grid.
It's lucky it's only virtual, isn't it? I mean, I didn't want to embarrass you, but it's about to come up on screen anyway. You're right at the back, aren't you? So what happened there?
Well, I fancied the first challenge. I thought it'd spice my race up a little bit, having some people to overtake.
I was going to say, there's no race suit, there's no reverse grid here. It's
I'm getting my reverse grid in on this one. But no, I joined about 10 minutes late to qualify, so I only had 2 laps to get it done. My first lap I invalidated, and my second lap I crashed because this car to be at all competitive, it's very on the limit, especially around the Porsche curves in yeah, you push and it's very easy to drop it, and I dropped it. So yeah, so I never set a lap, so I'm dead last.
Smooth. Did you manage to? Well, why did you turn up so late? Did you forget the new qualifying time? Because of course it is different to the usual championships.
Just work, just
Right,
super
okay.
busy. So yeah,
Fair
as
enough.
always.
You're without Eric Axelsson tonight as a you go-to trusty partner. Where is the Swedish assassin?
He's got caught up with work as well, and just hasn't got the time to race this evening either. So yeah, just me today.
I was actually drawing a blank with what you do for work, Josh. I'll be honest. I swear, me and Andy, probably about 2 years ago though. What do you get up to?
I work for the family business, which is Groundworks and a civil engineering company.
Yeah.
So yeah, normally in a digger somewhere.
Fantastic. Well, fair enough. Hopefully the Lamborghini is a bit more fun to drive than the digger. Although having said that,
No, it definitely isn't. I get much more enjoyment from the digger.
Well, maybe that's a new fun race we could be having, digger racing around Brands Hatch Indy. I think
that's a good idea.
You could help Rich set the digger up and everything. It'd be good fun. Josh, good luck for the last to first battle. We'll be keeping an eye on you, I'm sure. And you never know, we might be speaking to you after the race.
That involves me finishing, but hey, you never know.
In the top 3 as well. But hey, we do DNF interviews now, Josh, as you know from last couple of weeks. So we might still chat to you.
Yeah, I'll speak to you in half an hour then.
Good luck.
That's really fun. It was many things I could take from that interview. Actually, one was the sort of stop you did. So why did you turn up? And then there was a gap before you said late.
Yeah.
So I wondered whether Josh saw it. The question was, why did you turn up? The other thing, I love the idea about digger racing. It could replace truck racing, because if a digger has a crash and demolishes the barrier, they could all get together and get involved in the repairs and cut the delays, which would be an interesting concept for MSV there. So if Dr. Palmer's listening or watching, there's an idea for you for free. So, go for it. So where are we going next on the grid? Did Rich say Joel was in the mix as well? How you doing, Joel?
Yeah, not too bad. Definitely wasn't expecting that time out of Jack, but hey, we'll see what we can do in the race, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's you've got you're one of the drivers that scored reasonably well in all 3 races so far, and the points are going up as the season goes on. 12, 14, 29 last time out on the win, so not a bad place to be.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Jack's definitely quick. We knew that. He wasn't here last round. He's definitely quick this time round, and there's certain places where I'm quicker. There's certain places where he's quicker in the BM. Obviously, the BM's got better tyre life than what the Merc has, so I think it's more a case of try and get ahead at the start and try and hold position more than anything.
And you've got top ballast, I'm guessing, because Eric had 45 on my reckoning, and you've got 45 as well. So it's that much of a handicap.
I mean, to be fair, I've been practicing on 20. We're now on 40 exactly, actually. So yeah, the car feels a little bit different, a little bit more to handle, especially through the Porsche curves, a bit more understeer. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in terms of tyre life. But yeah, I think the main goal is get ahead of Jack and try and control the pace for the start of the race. Is
there such a thing as a virtual circuit that makes you think, yeah, in real life this could be scary? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, to be fair, Le Mans, where you're coming into the braking zones at a silly mile an hour, is definitely one to keep an eye on. I mean, the car's very twitchy around here. The Merc's very much on the nose and very pointy, so you've got to be careful, especially when the tyres wear out. But yeah, I know the Merc's, the BM is much more planted, so yeah, we'll see what we can do. Okay, well, good luck for that. We're just getting Rich telling us we've got about 40 seconds to go, so I'm not going to hassle any more drivers or anything in the build up towards this. So, Joel, good luck for the race. Thank you ever so much for talking to. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I got muddled up there. You got 40 kgs, third in the championship.
Yeah.
Jack Smith has 45. So that's where that was me looking at my badly written notes. Apologies for that. But yeah, getting ready for the start of our 90-minute race, our 4th race of the World Endurance League on the Virtual Racing Club. Let's see how Virtual Reality Racing. Let's see how this one goes. And it's Jack Smith and Joel Lask on the front row, Craig Curtis and Oliver Gibson on row 2, Chris Blakey and Ben Smith on row 3, row 4, Johnny Ogden, Adam Lyall, Andy Carroll and Brad Smith wrapping up your top 10. And we are underway. And it's a good start from the pole man.
great because he's getting swallowed up quite substantially. Jack Smith is all the way back out into about 6th or 7th place. I think Oliver Gibson's overtaken him, and Joel Lask has gone through into first, but that's Oliver Gibson. I believe it's Oliver Gibson anyway on the inside, the number 45, and he gets squeezed out wide. I think Joel Lask going to have this, and I'm not sure who's actually coming up in third. I think that's Ben Smith. Yeah, I was going to say Johnny Ogden, but it's not, is it? Ben Smith. Gibson again gets nerfed a little bit as Joel Lask misses the apex. Is that going to hurt him going onto the straight? I think it might. It's going to be Oliver Gibson by the time they get down to the chicane.
It's fantastic, isn't it? What a mega circuit. The other thing about getting the speed is getting a little bit of noise as well. And that is a spin, and dropping down the order is Brad Smith. Andy Carroll as well. So is that going to be a DNF? Because Brad Smith did drop down the order as well. Carroll down in 18th. Has he managed to carry on as they go side by side for the lead? Oliver Gibson and Joel Lask side by side, and this is absolutely mega, isn't it? Imagine doing this for real. This is superb training, isn't it? Lask grabs the inside line into the first of the chicanes, and therefore will exit in lead. They'll go on to the second sort of mini straight, second part of the Mulsanne straight for the first time. Oliver Gibson's going to have a look here, goes to the outside, jinks back to the inside line. So already attack and defend going on, get side by side here in the challenge for the gents. This is an endurance race, not a sprint, but they're going for it. They want track position, they want race lead as they head down towards the second of the chicanes. Incredible stuff, isn't it? Gibson on the inside, still side by side. Great racing, fellas. This is mega stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's that Merc's got a lot of grunts, hasn't it? It's very quick in a straight line, and Oliver Gibson, he might be able to take the corner as well, but really in Le Mans where you need to attack is going down the straight, and as soon as he pulls out of that slipstream, I don't think he's quite got the grunt to really get ahead. He's nice and late on the brakes consistently. He actually gets himself into a good position here, and Oliver Gibson does take the lead, but it's nowhere near as convincing as when Lask wants to step on the loud pedal, that's for sure. We got Craig Curtis just behind, and then Jack Smith, obviously the pole sitter. It was a shame to lose Ben Smith down to 12th. Does seem to have got himself pointing in the right direction, but behind his teammate Johnny Ogden, who's in 10th place. Obviously was second a couple of weeks ago, but here comes Joel Lask back again with the response nice and quick from that Mercedes. Is it going to have an option to try and go around the outside? It's a late braking zone here, Richard, isn't it? And it's a little bit angled as they dive into the corner, light up the brakes. It's not on the inside, so I got my part of the circuit mixed up. This lap has gone through so quickly.
It has indeed. They surely are not going to keep this up for 90 minutes. It will settle down at some point, and if it does carry on, of course, then it becomes part and parcel of when do they plan to make the pit stops. And as you heard Jack Smith saying, he's already got his plan to come in at the half distance, as once again we see Gibson getting his nose in front. So momentarily, is it momentarily back in the lead, or is it actually, he's consolidated it now, so he's in front. Lask has got to try and fight back. Jack Smith, the pole position man, back in third, could still draw himself back into this one with his teammate and his teammate's chaser at the moment. This is an absolutely enthralling start to our 90 minutes of Le Mans. A reminder, next time we're at Sao Paulo, but not until July, so this is your last fix for a few weeks. And I don't think they've actually got the message about it being an endurance. They're just fighting it out big time. They're past the pit entrance, through the Ford chicane, and out of that, across the line, and that is lap number 1 complete. And things are now relatively settled after a frantic first lap.
Yeah, Joel Lask dropping off by half a second, but I wouldn't worry about that. As long as you're within a second, you're probably going to get the slipstream to be able to launch an attack at some point down the Mulsanne straight. Jack Smith has made his way up to third place as well after his quite atrocious start. He's managed to get past Chris Blakey, who dropped off by about 3 seconds. I don't know if Chris Blakey ended up going off, or if it was Craig Curtis actually. No, Craig Curtis is in third place, and he's now well back in 5th position and about 4 or 5 seconds back from where he used to be. So yeah, a bit of a shame from him. Clearly has maybe put a wheel wrong. Johnny Ogden's gone past Paul Larrabee, but looks of it in the fight for 9th position. And then Adam Lyall is in 6th. Josh Martin has somehow got up into 7th place, and I've absolutely no idea how.
Yeah, he digging his way through the positions, isn't it, at the moment? Josh is really moving heaven and earth to make his way up the order. Yeah, so great first lap from Josh Martin, up into 7th, exactly as he predicted. It was tongue-in-cheek, but he's done a grand job, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's morphed. He must have teleported there because I've no idea. There wasn't exactly that much commotion. There was a little bit of battling and stuff like that, but I don't know how he's done that with that Lamborghini. It's very, very quick, obviously, when he actually gets back going. Hopefully, he won't crash on the second lap because that's ended up what he did in qualifying. But anyway, enough about him. Let's move forward, and that's exactly what Jack Smith is trying to do, isn't he? And he might have the inside against Joel Lask here, who didn't go defensive into the second chicane, and it looks like Jack Smith has got that move done and dusted. Joel Lask last time got overtaken by a BMW going into there, but he was able to actually put his foot down and get back alongside him and overtake them again. This time, Jack Smith did a bit of a better job than Oliver Gibson a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, he did. I think we can go to Jack as we're on a straight. Jack, how's it going? Looking good so far?
Yeah, not too bad. Start was pretty horrendous, and now I'm trying to defend from Joel, which should be interesting. But yeah, just got to see if I can keep pushing on, get onto the back of Ollie, and then make my way past. But Joel's going to put up a bit of a fight here, so.
What are you got to do differently? Or what would you do differently off the start again? How do you relive it?
Probably practice, to be honest, because I just didn't do any, and I completely forgot, and I realised when I got onto the starting grid. So, yeah, not ideal.
Okay, we'll let you focus on the job in hand because I think I'm probably putting you off with Joel Lask all over you at the moment, doing what he did to Oliver earlier on, looking up the inside. Good luck, mate, and cracking battle. He has lost it. Yeah, sorry if we put you off there, Jack, in terms of losing out second position, but we know we've got it in you with that pole position lap to be able to get back into P2. Fascinating battle to watch, also equally fascinating to have that chat. Sounding very calm, Jack Oliphant, at the wheel and talking to us at the same time.
Yeah, Jack Smith's a bit of a class act, to be honest, when it comes to the sim. He's always been around it quite a lot, and actually we used to have webcams set up for the drivers so we could actually see them in the cockpit. And which was always very entertaining. We don't quite often see Jack Smith as he goes to get that second place back off Joel Lask, who for the second lap in a row sees himself losing the position to one of the BMWs. But see if Joel has learned a thing or two going into the next couple of laps, because he's certainly dropped off to the back of Oliver Gibson. But it seems like Jack has got some kind of extra gear, hasn't he, that he's able to initiate. And going through the last sector is when you would really expect the BMW to be a little bit stronger, given the way that it could ride the curve. I think the straight line things a little bit smoother. Well, obviously, wait and see as Joel Lask has a little glance at the inside. That's not going to be Jack Smith at all. But yeah, just to finish what I was saying there, Richard, it was quite interesting to see him driving in the webcam as well, because he was so smooth, so relaxed. Didn't look like he was even bothered. Didn't look like he was playing a game or anything, to be honest, even when he was fighting tooth and nail for championship wins. So yeah, really fascinating to see the top driver's perspective on that.
It's frustrating, actually, as someone who tried to do a bit of racing and can't, to see people doing it with what looks like apparent ease. So making it look effortless, because it's far from that, but they do seem to be very much at ease, the top drivers, with what they're doing. And fair play to them. Absolutely stunning stuff. Now I've got a little bit of a break-up. Is that coming through the? Oh, off goes out. Joel Lask lost it. That is a major change for Joel, and I'm going to be very selfish and say we've lost a good potential battle there. It's a major shame, that.
It is, isn't it? I mean, that's going to be really annoying for Joel Lask, because as he mentioned in the interview, he's had a couple of good positions, and he seems that he's smashed his front end, as well as two of the drivers in front of him have also gone off, smashing into each other. Chris Blakey and Johnny
Ogden.
Not Johnny Ogden. Is it Johnny Ogden?
He has dropped, yeah. Yeah, Johnny's dropped as well down the order. So, yeah, that's not good. Joel's one of the drivers who we can probably grab a word with once he's sorted himself out and get his take on what's happened. But for the moment, it's as well to, and this is the role of pit lane stalker, isn't it? To leave people be until they can grab a moment and come back to you. And first time I encountered that sort of problem as we watched Josh Martin's up to 4th now.
Yeah, well, Josh Martin, he's not doing anything else, so apart from just inheriting positions right now. Josh, how on earth have you got to 4th place?
God knows. You tell me.
I don't know. I've been wondering as well. All of a sudden, we looked up and you were in 7th. I thought there hasn't been that much drama. Then all of a sudden, 3 people in front of you fall off, as you almost do, going through that chicane as well. Yeah, I mean, did you expect this when you were saying it earlier? I mean, it's only been 10 minutes and you've inherited a top 5 finish.
I didn't quite expect to be this high up. I'm just trying to pace myself a little bit and not push. If I push, I'll end up joining all of them lot. And so far, I've got a completely clean, damage-free car, which I think, you know, in a 90-minute race is quite important.
I would say so. You got Joel Lask behind you. Now, Joel is obviously very quick, but with a potentially damaged car, are you sort of quite confident that if you just keep putting the lap times in, you reckon you can consolidate this?
Yeah, hopefully. Because I think there's been quite a lot of bumping around with the cars I've seen. So, yeah, some of them are definitely damaged, which will be slowing them down.
What's the sort of... Oh, Josh.
I hate this corner.
Oh,
Oh, dearie me. Right, we'll let you go because you need to get back on the circuit and concentrate. We might chat to you a little bit later. Is there any damage as far as you can tell?
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we'll bring you back in and you can update us what the damage was a little later on.
I knew it was going to be that corner or the one on the Porsche curves.
It's gutting, that one, I'll be honest. You can't feel that much different.
Don't know yet. So I get to turns.
Place. You still got a decent position. You're still actually 1 up from where you were off the first couple of laps. So keep your head down, keep trying, and we'll speak to you in a bit.
Yep.
So that was Josh Martin trying his best to, well, consolidate a nice clean Lamborghini towards the end of the race. That's one of the things he had on an objective, and 45 seconds later, he didn't have a very clean Lamborghini. But we do have Jack Smith, who's in 2nd place. About 2.5 seconds behind is teammate and brother Oliver Gibson. Be interested to see whether Jack Smith can actually put the hammer down and catch back up to Gibson to see if there can be some kind of fight ignited. Because every time we get a fight, Richard, it seems to be extinguished with a spin or contact.
yeah, and preempted by commentary. As you know, that is what happens in real-world racing as well. It's very much how we simulate things, isn't it, in the virtual reality world. It's a cruel parallel that we've had, and some big names dropping down the order. But yeah, Gibson and Smith, this could shape up to be a nice one. It's only 2 seconds at the moment. Look at the timing. We are around about 15 minutes in, so a sixth of the way through the race, things starting to settle down. Joel Lask, interestingly, for all his problems, still in 4th place, so actually still relatively healthy and only 10 seconds down. So, you know, this is the long game, isn't it? So could still be with a shout of a podium, if not a 1 or a 2 here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Craig Curtis ahead. Craig is now he's 11 seconds ahead of Joel. Craig was 3rd place once upon a time, so he'll probably feel like he's got back in the position that he felt like he potentially deserved. But it's going to be a long game. It's going to be a difficult one. He hasn't come into pits. He's going to have to drive that car with damage for a long time. I don't know if we can get an onboard cockpit view. I know that is possible, but it's not always, there we go, the easiest to get to instantly. That's the view you can see, Richard, when you're driving, obviously, in the car. Nice little photo on the steering wheel there as well. But it's, you know, with the screen the way it is, I wouldn't say that's too much of a hindrance. And by the looks of it, the car is running straight and true.
Yeah, it does look true.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, does it, at the moment? So this is the, and again, this is the beauty of endurance racing. I was trying to explain to somebody years ago when I started commentating with the British GT and Formula 3 paddock for real about British GT and GT racing. It's more like, this was someone who was into their cricket, and I said, think of this like a test match. It's not all going to unfold, you know, directly from qualifying. It's not necessarily the person that's on that pole position, because you've got that much track time to get through that you've got to just sit back, take it all in, watch the story unfold before your eyes over the course of the day. British GT now, I mean, you get they get a couple of races, don't they? But I'd much prefer it if they had one great big long race. I suppose it doesn't keep the spectators particularly happy, but for me, that is exactly what it's all about, the longer races.
Well, yeah, the British GT, they have the Silverstone 500, don't they? Which
Yeah.
I think is coming up in a couple of weeks' time, I think. No, it might not be this weekend because obviously the touring cars they try and keep them off the same weekend if they can. Yeah, that's the sort of longest race we get. It's 3 hours, and quite often it's heartbreaking because you could be leading the race for 2 hours and 55 minutes, and your alternator sets everything on fire, which is quite what happens if you're driving a Ginetta GT3 apparently. And your name's Tom Oliphant. But anyway, it's one of those things where it can be absolutely heartbreaking, but it's fascinating to watch. And obviously, we're here at the home of the most famous 24-hour race going in Le Mans, aren't we, at the moment? It would be fascinating. I quite liked it when the British GT used to go and do a trip away. That was always quite fun. I remember racing at Spa in Ginetta. The package went over to Spa for the weekend. And I always think that's quite good fun to then have an elongated race at that point as well.
Yeah, I think when you've got the title of British on anything, part of me says, you know, stay here. I think if you have a wild card round, that's a nice thing. But yeah, so Spa or Zandvoort, something like that, maybe alternate it, move it around a little bit. Same with British touring cars. It's the same weekends in virtually the same order every year, which is, you know, you could probably, you know, I could probably reel it off the top of my head when someone says what order are the races in. But if you had a wild card round, that would be good. It's a shame we don't go to Mondello with the touring cars anymore. That used to be a you know, fantastic trip, absolutely brilliant trip.
Yeah, I think for me it would be nice to see the odd, you know, spiced up sort of championship in there. I think it would obviously add a lot of cost in what is already a very expensive championship for the touring cars, but it would be really fun. But to be fair, I don't know how much of an international following they have, so it might not be one of the things that actually makes much financial sense from that perspective either. Whereas GT racing is popular wherever you go, and British GT is very popular as well. It attracts some very good drivers, and it's always nice to see some decent crowds when we went to Zandvoort and Spa and stuff like that. So it is pretty cool, but I think ultimately everybody wants to go and drive Le Mans and Nürburgring and Spa. So yeah, if you gave the option to the drivers, would you like to go and race any of these iconic circuits as a one-off round? They'd probably bite your hand off.
Yeah, I think you're right. Chris Blakey would bite your hand off, wouldn't he, to get further up the order, 17th after his issues earlier on. So we're having a look at the Demon. Do you remember the day when Demon Tweaks used to get a voucher if you had a picture in print in Motoring News, as it was, or Autosport?
I don't think I was ever old enough to take advantage of that back when I was shopping at Demon Tweaks, I'll be honest.
We've had a couple.
Sorry, I was just going to say we've had Andy Carroll DNF. I've brought him into the interview booth. We can have a chat with him.
Oh, Andy, sorry to hear you DNF. What happened?
Oh, what didn't happen? Coming through that corner on before the start of the straight, there was smoke everywhere, and when it cleared slightly, there was a car sideways in the middle of the road. I sort of swerved to avoid it, ended up crashing into the barrier, and then had a bit of front end damage as a result and flat spotted tyres, but I sort of recovered reasonably well, managed to get back up towards sort of top 10, and then yeah, something happened coming into Mulsanne with Brad, and ended up spearing off into the barriers, punctured front left fluid suspension, managed to get back round to the pits, but forgot to enable damage repair. When I came out with fresh tyres, the front suspension was still destroyed, so it's undrivable, unfortunately. But
that's a big pity, and you know, so little into the race. And how much prep time has that has gone into today?
Don't even want to think. A lot.
Sorry, yeah, I'll just rub it in even more. Why don't I?
Had a really good race set up, really drivable, really stable, pretty consistent and decently quick, I think. So was hoping for a good result, but hey ho. Yeah, only you know, probably 40 hours of practice on down the train, but you know what.
Wow.
Never
the only consolation is it's a drop score, isn't it? You have scored in the other 3 events that we've had so far, so
yeah, so it's one of those tracks I thought, you know, didn't think it would suit the Lamborghini, but judging by how quickly I caught back up again after that first accident, it was looking like it might have been a reasonable result. But yeah, as I say, my own error not enabling the repairs. Don't do enough of these longer races in Assetto Corsa to really sort of remember to do stuff like that. But,
Is there a check? I mean, I do a lot of online work in terms of like webinars and all that sort of stuff, and I have a long checklist every time we do something like that to go through. Is it the same for this?
it probably should be. It was just yeah, I just didn't click to kind of. It would be nice if we came up with a big thing saying your suspension's knackered, do you want to repair it? But unfortunately, it kind of just lets you figure that out yourself. And yeah, just unfortunately forgot that bit, and yeah, came out the pits and couldn't even turn left, so ended up having to retire, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry to hear that. I don't know if Jack's got any questions for you.
No, I think, Andy, it's just a shame to obviously see you drop out, but I mean, a slightly positive finish to the interview, hopefully. Are we having you back for the BMW Cup? Because you seem to have gotten a lot quicker recently in this normal championship.
Oh yeah, definitely coming in the BMW Cup. Yeah, it's going to be an obviously very different car to the Minis. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see where my pace lies.
Have you been doing much testing in the car? Have you been enjoying it?
I've done a little bit. It is good fun to drive. Whether that equates to actually being quick or not is a different matter entirely. Obviously, I think the server's going up tomorrow, so
yeah,
that's when we'll get the first indication of whether I'm anywhere near the pace at all. But it's a good fun to drive. It should be a good car to race. Obviously, we've got people like Jack Smith back in that championship, and I think Eric. So there are some quicker drivers. So it's going to be a challenge, I think, to kind of try and get into that top 5 that I was kind of getting used to a bit in the minis. But yeah, it's going to be a very strong field again. But yeah, hopefully it's the most important thing is it's good fun racing.
Well, I think although those drivers haven't been around for a few series, and they'll have a little bit of a nice surprise when they see your face and see your name up that sharp end of the championship. I'm sure instead of a strong top 5, we'll have a strong top 7 or 8. I'm excited by it. But good luck for the BMWs. Unfortunately, obviously, we haven't seen you too much today, but hopefully you stick around and watch it.
I certainly will do. Thanks, guys.
cheers, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks very much. Do you know, I've come back to what I was going to say earlier on about, when you approach a driver that's had an issue. I got one my first one. I had a real difficult one was at Classic Festival down at Lyddon, which we were filming for Motors, and there's a guy called Pete Winston, who I'd watched for many years racing on the short ovals with the European champion Paul Laramie, goes wide again. Did that on the last lap actually. It's written Le Mans. What's the French for déjà vu? Coming back. That's escaped as well.
Stuart Vickers.
Yeah, that's going to be pit stop, and the guys can do it on their own. I'll come back to the interview.
Oh, look at his steering.
That's not. Yeah. How far around the lap is it? I'm not sure.
It's just coming up to Porsche curves.
Okay, so not too far to nurse it back into the. Having said, I say not too far. These are long laps, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, not too bad. Could have been worse. Could have been worse in terms of start of the lap, but he's towards the end. So, Porsche curves, it's got the Ford chicanes to deal with as well, and twists and turns obviously not the best thing to do with a damaged car, but hopefully can nurse it back. And currently in 11th place. So,
and make sure he repairs it as well.
Make sure he repairs it. Yeah, that's a real shame. Andy Carroll started B9, so could be on some good points. That's a shame. It's a shame. And coming back to the thing about being happy to talk to us, this particular occasion, Pete Winston retired his classic car. It was Rover, I think, and did not want to talk, you know. And you have to kind of just do in pit lane, sort of a look across or a thumbs up or whatever, you know, just sort of. I would never ever stick a mic in someone's face if, you know, if they've had a bad one, you don't know if they're winded or whatever else, you know. And Pete, bless him, didn't want to do the interview, but came back to me a little bit later on, which was, you know, ultimate professional of his club racing level, which I really appreciated. And he just said, you know, had I spoken to you first off, it just would have been expletives. But, you know, he knew that was the right thing to do, but came over and apologised, and all was well. Fair play to you. All is well with this, because the league battle's closing up, isn't it? It's just over a second now. Last time I checked on the gap, first to second, it was 1.2. And Jack Smith is closing in. He is heading towards, well, half an hour in. So are we going to get a battle on by the time they come into their pit stop strategy window? This is the question. But yeah, this is definitely closing up now between Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith in P2.
Yeah, I think it's sort of. I think Jack Smith's lining himself up nicely here on Oliver, and I think Oliver's done a really good job at leading this race. But I think Jack Smith's sort of just quite happy with where he is. He doesn't need to worry about it too much. His strategy probably hasn't changed from what he had planned to do versus what he's ended up doing. I imagine, obviously, that little battle with, well, the start wasn't in the plan, and that battle with Joel Lask wasn't exactly the plan either. But now he's in this sort of open air. He might as well be in the lead of the race from his perspective. He's just getting his head down, putting the laps in, trying to be as consistent as possible. The fact that there's a car ahead of him, he can see it. It's within a second. He knows if he puts the afterburners on, he can probably give it a good race, especially as he knows it's his brother. So I think there's all those sort of factors to be taken into account with Jack Smith here. He's probably quite happy, and he seems to be just, I don't know whether he's the driver who's staying consistent. He's just got green in sector 1. And I think Oliver Gibson just got green in sector 1. But Jack Smith is sort of just putting in consistent times, whereas Oliver Gibson, maybe there's a suspect of him a little bit up, a little bit down, slightly less consistent, which is why Jack Smith is sort of reeling him in.
I think Jack's just keeping where he is, staying where he is, just to maybe stay out of the dirty air, because going through the Porsche curves, it does affect the calves. So I think these guys are going to look for a 1-2. And I don't know if you remember, Jack, last time we did Le Mans, who was first and second?
Was it these two by any chance?
It was indeed.
What a shock. What a shock. They've been first and second quite a lot of times at VRRC, so if you ever pose that question on broadcast, Richard, it's probably a good guess to say Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith.
Okay.
I think what we'll
get asked that one.
I think we'll bring Oliver in when we get onto the straights and have a chat with him. He's been sat there in the front for a while. Should we have a chat with him?
Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? We spoke to his brother and he lost a position, didn't we?
All right, I'll pull him in and then you can have a chat with him once we get on the straight.
That'd be good. Yeah, these two guys doing very well. Oliver, championship-wise, if those of you maybe just need memory refreshing on where they were, had a 0 at the first event, and then second position round 2 did not start last time out. I'm assuming for the same reason that brother Jack was working on studies. So I think we've got Oliver in the mix now. So you'll probably know a better time, Jack, to call him in.
He's here now.
Well, we might as well do it now, Oliver. Just first of all, you got that lead of Joel Lask. How was the fight with him?
Pretty intense, if I'm honest. I'm usually one to back out of moves, but that one I thought I'll go for it because I don't know where Jack was. So, you know, I thought I better try and get a gap. And yeah, I don't know, just fought it really hard. Credit to Joel as well, because I mean, not many people give. You know, if you go around the outside of someone, you usually tend to expect a shove. But credit to Joel, he's a great race there at the start. So big thanks to him.
I can imagine this is going to be adding the pressure to you, this question, but you've got Jack now breathing down your neck and the gap is starting to close up and close up. Is it a case of you can see that in your rearview mirrors and you're starting to concentrate on that a little bit more than you were at the start?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He's right on me now, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't know where he was after the start because I saw him drop a couple of positions, and then I battled with Joel, and then I looked up in my mirror again for the first time, and all of a sudden he was there. So yeah, it's going to be a close one. I'm going to try and fight it, as I usually wouldn't, but I may as well. So yeah, but it should be a good battle. He's so quick, it's unbelievable. I'm doing times that I'm like, oh, I'm happy with that, and then he's gone 6/10 faster.
It's unfair, isn't it? Older brothers always like that. They're a pain in the arse. But yeah, it's what I'll do, Oliver, is I'm going to very quickly let you go. You have pulled a bit more of a gap on him in the past couple of seconds, but I was a bit conscious when we started this interview that you lost about half a second. You seem to have gained it back, so well done. But I'll let you concentrate as you get into the twisty stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck, Oliver. Thanks for having that little natter with us. And yeah, I love the older brother comment. I've got an older brother who's nothing to do with racing. Actually, used to go and watch a little bit, but yeah, doesn't tend to get involved very much. As we're back with Paul Laramie, let's see how the Lamborghini is faring here, trying to close down on John Jones at the moment. So a little bit of a Lambo duo as things continue to change around. The one question I didn't get to ask Oliver, which we was going to, was what's the stop strategy? So we need to maybe keep an eye on that, because we're probably around about 10 minutes away from half distance, which some of the drivers were talking about being their sort of natural break, as it were.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we would expect it to be around the 45-minute mark, just because it makes the most sense, doesn't it, with keeping the car as consistent as possible through both runs. But we'll have to wait and see whether somebody, because they've had a poor start to the race, whether they come in earlier, or whether they come in a bit later. We have had 3 cars already come into the pits. Josh Martin being one of them, Johnny Ogden and Chris Malachy. Those 3 drivers still running. In fact, Josh Martin is right on the back of Johnny Ogden. But we've also had Stuart Vickers in the pits as well, actually. He's still out there rotating. Olivia Kruzanowska has unfortunately not been in the pits, and is struggling towards the back end of the field as well, as Paul Laramie goes through on John Jones.
Yeah, I don't think Olivia wasn't on the list, was she, that we could talk to for DNFs and problems and things. But it would be nice to have a little chat with her at some point in the future. So be open to that, Olivia, if you're able to have a chat. We don't bite, we're not horrible. We'll maybe do a quick chat or something next time when there's a little bit less pressure on you. But be good to catch up if we get the opportunity to. There's Olivia. Thanks for the connection on social media as well. Always good. Another driver we've got to keep an eye on here is Josh Martin, who's trying to work his way back. So has caught Johnny Ogden. Incredible to think that Josh was up into 4th position in those early doors, and then just had that moment. Literally, that was curse of the commentators, wasn't it, when he went off earlier on?
We've missed a change for the lead.
And fighting back. Rich is telling us we've got a change for the lead now. Yeah, on the leaderboard, we've got Jack Smith in front. And here is the confirmation of that.
Yeah, it's, I noticed it on the leaderboard as it happened, but I didn't see how. I'm guessing it was through one of the chicanes, obviously, due to where they are on the circuit. But yeah, so Jack Smith getting into the race lead. It did look like it was almost slightly inevitable, didn't it, unfortunately, for Oliver Gibson, the way that he's been caught up over the last 2 or 3 laps. But I'm sure he'll probably get into that slipstream now and potentially maybe have an action back for him, maybe come into the pit, try and get that undercut. Entirely sure, but yeah, Oliver Gibson has to settle down for 2nd place. He sounded a little bit defeated when we were chatting to him about just how quick that Jack Smith was, wasn't he? But he said he's going to fight it, so I imagine there's going to be a response at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know, I'm trying to think in terms of racing brothers over the years, whether there's been, this isn't meant to have a dig at all, but I think there's a, in my experience, there's never younger ones or older ones are never quicker. But here we go. Here is the battle, as you predicted, for the lead. And Oliver Gibson back in front. Incredible race between these two. Let's hope that it plays out as we saw the Joel Lask battle going on earlier on. At the moment, it very much is. So Oliver Gibson back in front. It sometimes doesn't hurt, does it? Taking I've done this in karting when you've got the lead, and I find being under pressure an absolute pain in the arse. I'd much rather chase. And sometimes if you just take a little breather and if you've got the ability to come back and have a go, and I'm wondering whether that's what Oliver Gibson's done there.
I'm absolutely desperate to have a look at the YouTube chat and see what Elaine Gibson is thinking here, because she's quite vocal in the chat normally about supporting these two. And I will have a look in a quick second, because of course we've got to focus first of all on what is which, to be honest. I think Oliver Gibson is the one just in the lead here, but only by a couple of hundredths of a second. He's going to hold on to that lead, Richard, for the time being, isn't he? And Jack Smith had to just pull out of that one, but he looks like he's getting some good runs, a little bit shaky on the exit there as he hits the curb. It just shows how committed he is to each and every corner. The BMW is looking pretty much immaculate. Neither of them involved with any drama or any touching of any kind so far. We hope to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the kiss of death when you start saying that.
I know, yeah. Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, so going back to Racing Brothers, trying to think how many famous pairs of Racing Brothers got, the Oliphant Brothers. And, oh, hang on, another battle going on here.
Johnny Ogden, isn't it, versus Mark Stokes and Stuart. Actually, no. Yeah, versus Mark Stokes and Stuart Walton behind.
Sam Walton.
So it's very, very close indeed for the battle for the top 10. As Ben Smith seems to be doing quite well, but John Jones seems to be falling down the order. We could see a spin for John Jones potentially at some point.
Just to make it easier for you, the B Smith that's left is Brad, because Ben has Ben's DNF.
Yeah.
Ben's DNF.
Ben starts on the outside of row 3. So again, another highly placed qualifying one. Just goes back to this thing about being, you know, it's not over till it's over. You've just got to keep chipping away, and sometimes it may not be the fastest car on track, but potentially the finish will bag the points. As Johnny Ogden puts into some more good moves. Ogden and Jones having a good old battle here. And I think Johnny's got that sorted now.
Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it? And what I would say, just to further on from the brother conversation that you were talking about, you probably, I don't know if you mentioned them already, or I've just missed the most famous racing brother duo in the Schumachers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the classic, wasn't it? Obviously with Michael, and then Ralph was there. No one really remembers him. He was around and about. He managed to get to F1, which is a massive accomplishment in itself, and then only to be overshadowed by your brother, one of the greatest of all time. It's a little bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it? But you know, Ralph was there, and he was a damn good driver.
It's all relative, really, isn't it? When you're talking about Ralph not being there, he was a Formula One driver at the end of the day.
Well, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's still astonishingly good, and yet no one really remembers him because of his brother. I mean, it must make a very salty dinner table, mustn't it, when you get back and you've done your best qualifying, and it's still everybody talks about your brother. But anyway, speaking of the brothers and going for pole positions, going for race wins, Smith and Gibson back at it again.
They are super stuck between these two. So Jack Smith back in front again. So Oliver Gibson will get this turn, and we didn't get a chance to discuss it. I mean, you know, for your racing, do you prefer? Obviously, everyone likes being in front, but do you feel more pressure when you're being hassled from someone chasing you, or do you prefer being the hunter?
Well, I'll be honest, I only ever got into the lead every so often, so I got a lot more practice chasing, which makes it a lot more comfortable. I think if you are, it's whatever you're more experienced at, isn't it? If you're quite happy being in the lead, it's probably because you've been in the lead a lot. Josh Martin, absolute takes out Mark Stokes by the looks of that one, and I know that's a little bit of a preemptive one. Obviously, there's a stupid decision to go along with it, but I have to say, Richard, that looked a little bit like he sort of turned the crossing.
Joel in the pits.
Yeah, I think he was driving the digger.
He probably could have dug Mark Stokes out. He probably could have done with it.
He probably could have done. Oh well, we could put him on trial on the microphone a little bit later on with that one, very possibly. Talking of we've got pit stop window well and truly. I'll come back to what I was going to say in a minute. This pit window is very much happening now. So a lot of drivers
looks like Joel
sorting themselves out.
Yeah, looks like Joel's having a long one to repair that damage, I guess, by the looks of it.
Yeah, down to 16th now. So still the opportunity to make up some places, but meanwhile things are a lot calmer between the two brothers out front. Never mind two brothers, what about brother and sister racers? Now, here's one which we discuss a lot, which is Ollie and Jamie Chadwick. Now, I always thought Ollie was the quicker of the two, but Jamie's got the higher profile.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously she's done well with the W Series and stuff like that, hasn't she? And like you say, a lot of people don't really see it necessarily, but obviously, if you're in the world of motorsport, you do know it. Only about being a racing driver is only about 20% of skill, isn't it? The rest of it is being a business person, because you need to raise the money to get onto any grid, and the higher up you go, the more expensive the grids get. So I do think that the ability to make a profile for yourself, make a name for yourself, activate sponsors the best you can, and all that sort of thing is almost a skill in motorsport in itself. I know a lot of people say maybe being late on the brakes or quick off the line or anything like that, but actually being able to be good for the media, good for your sponsors is almost a more important skill than any of those, because it's what, at the end of the day, gets you on the grid. So you can't show off anything else before you get that. So I do think that Ollie was always very quick. Jamie, yeah, you may be right, maybe not as quick, but at the end of the day, I think Jamie's still racing at a higher profile, isn't she? And potentially that's the reason why.
I think Jamie, to be fair, would be quicker now because of the extra experience she had in the car, and I think Ollie might have had more experience than she did coming into Ginetta Junior. You know, it was fairly well documented at the time because it was that BBC series which they were featured in, and I don't think it's a lot in between the two of them, but at the time there was that perception that Ollie was a bit quicker and might have had a little bit more experience. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the whole business package now, and we're seeing a lot of youngsters coming through who are getting huge profiles by doing a heck of a lot of social media, which is just amazing how many how that can ramp your profile up. But then you've still got to deliver on track, haven't you? Even if you've got a 250,000 followers, it's not really much help unless you get on the podium.
Well, in my opinion, there's almost, you do have to do that to get to the very top. You have to be able to do that. You either have to have that, or you have to be in Lando Norris's situation where you've got a lot of men behind you, or Lance Stroll or anything like that. But realistically, I do think there's a little bit of a danger. I don't know about you, Richard, about having that much of a presence, that much of a social media at the age of 11 sort of thing, being out there in the world so much. It can be a bit of a dangerous thing. I think that there is sometimes a little bit of protection that needs to be put around some younger drivers. Jack Smith maybe feels like he needs a little bit of protection here because Oliver Gibson is throwing everything at him once again.
Yeah, superb racing from the brothers here, and when they can be doing that and we're going off at a tangent while they're doing that, it's because they've been doing it so much all the way through the race. But Jack Smith back out front, Oliver Gibson will fight back. This is mega racing from the pair of them. Remember, Oliver qualified 4th. Jack the pole man has got back in front after dropping down, I think 4th in the early stages. Absolutely brilliant. But heading towards, I reckon they'll pit at similar times. One hopes that it's going to be later and that it doesn't extinguish this battle, because this is one of the things that you really, really want to see. I'm sure it will resume off the pit stop. This is another of the dangers, isn't it, of endurance racing when you get into the pit windows, that sometimes a cracking little scrap can just get snuffed out by the scheduled pit stop or otherwise. Sometimes that's good news for a driver, take a breather and just get rid of the pressure and come out with some clear track, arguably and hopefully for them in front and clear without the worry. But for the viewers like us, obviously we want to see the battles continue.
Yeah, I have some news, guys. Joel Lask has retired. Too much damage. He's in the interview booth with us now.
Joel, sorry to hear that, and thanks for joining us in our virtual pit lane. Talk us through what happened. So first of all, though, great battle in those opening laps.
Yeah, it was a tough gig to begin with. Obviously, then BMs are like absolute rockets, especially down the straights. A little tussle and we're jostling for position and whatnot, and then just dropped on the curb. So and then had a smash windscreen, which didn't make it any easier. Suspension damage as well. Rear wing's completely gone, and then the car just pretty much became undrivable as the tyres started to break. So it was a bit of a tough gig.
It brings 10 points back into the championship for you, which is scant consolation. I know it takes you up to 48, so you probably pass Eric now in the standings, possibly, because Eric only brings a 3 back in, so it's going to be nip and tuck between you two as we head towards the next event.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I knew we have pace round here. That was the biggest thing. sort of underestimated the pace of the BMWs, just how quick they actually were. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them things. We'll look on to the future rounds and see what we can do. But yeah, a little bit frustrating on this end.
Joel, I was asking Jack after qualifying about, did he try any of the other cars, before moving into this series? And is it the same for you? Did you just decide on the Merc and that was it, or did you try any of the others?
No, I tried all of the cars. I found that the Merc was very much on the front end. That's how I like to drive my cars. I don't like understeer. The Merc was very pointy, and that's exactly what I wanted. The only thing I didn't realise was the tyre degradation on it. So the Merc tyres go very quickly compared to some of the other cars that are a bit safer. So you've really got to look after them. But yeah, I think around this track, the BM sort of excels the long straights and the tight corners. So it's one of those.
It's a lot of thought, isn't it? It has to go into any campaign, motor racing, real world wise, but also in terms of virtual reality stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can test every car till for 40, 50 laps each time, and each one will feel different around different tracks. Obviously, there's certain tracks that feel better than others. And I thought the Mercer was sort of the better choice for every single track. It was more balanced. But yeah, I mean, especially on a track like this, the BMW just is light years ahead, unfortunately. So as much as you try and battle it, and like we did in the opening laps, you just can't fend them off, unfortunately. So yeah, just one of those.
It was a great opening couple of laps. We thoroughly enjoyed watching it, mate. Really good.
Appreciate it.
That's good. Best luck for the rest of the series. I'm not sure if I'm joining in for the other ones. Andy will be back, and I don't know if Andy gets to watch these back, but condolences to Andy on his recent loss, and I look forward to catching up with Andy. And he probably won't want it, but I'm going to give him another big hug next time I see him. Hope he's having a good holiday at the moment.
I'm sure he'll appreciate the hug, Richard.
Yep, and Joel, thanks for joining us. So good luck for the rest of the series. As Oliver Gibson dropping back just a little bit at the moment. Jack's back in control. So I was going to say mirroring qualifying, not quite. And here they come into pit lane together. This is what we wanted to see.
It's close to halfway as they could have got, really, isn't it? With 42.5 minutes. As soon as the halfway margin came up, they thought, right, this lap, it's time to come in, isn't it? So where will they come out? I imagine, well, they got 52 seconds to spare between themselves and Lee Pearcey. They may well end up coming out 1 and 2 again, depending if they take tyres and whatnot. But where's the third place driver? Who do we need to look out for? It would be Craig Curtis, wouldn't it? I mean, Lee Pearcey, but I think Craig Curtis has had a pit lane, been in the pit, sorry, and Lee Pearcey hasn't. Yeah, Lee Pearcey currently the top runner of those drivers who haven't pitted, but Craig Curtis is the top driver who have pitted, and it was only a lap ago when Craig Curtis ended up coming in. So it's going to be very, very tight, but I imagine, and here comes Lee Pearcey actually. I was going to say, Richard, everybody's going to likely come in on the same 1 or 2 laps, aren't they? Because if you try and extend it any more, if you go 1 extra lap, you're basically spending another 5 minutes out there, which is a massive margin.
It is, yeah. It comes back to what we were saying about this being such a long track, and that's what lends itself to classic endurance racing. It's why this circuit has, wrong word really, but endured over the years. And yeah, it's, as you say, you just leave it out another lap, and that is a big, big issue, isn't it? So Craig Curtis now in third. So most of the front runners are in or have been in the pit lane. We've got Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson back out. They're still showing on top of the timing tout. So, yep, they're back out. Craig Curtis in third place. Adam Lyall running in fourth at the minute.
They're already they're already a third of the way down the Mulsanne straight. Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith. And didn't look like Gibson made any kind of advantage in that pit stop. In fact, Smith has pulled out probably about another second. So a bit of a shame, really, because it seems to extinguish the sort of top step battle for the time being. Craig Curtis has got 25 seconds to try and catch up. But this is endurance racing. Anything can happen, can't it? We've seen people make mistakes all over the place. And here's Chris Blakey, who's been in the wars a little bit, trying to catch up to Mark Stokes, who has also been in the wars after coming together with Josh Martin. We've seen, actually, speaking of Josh Martin, his mate Dave was in the YouTube chat earlier, and Alistair and Colin McRae. I'll be honest, I didn't even know Alistair McRae had raced. Ringing a bell for you, Richard?
I don't recall him racing, to be honest. No.
No, I don't either. So I don't know if Dave is trying to have us on, or which is potentially highly. And if you are Dave, fair play, you've got. But Elaine Gibson is also in the chat as well. Nice to see her watching the two in front. Been a while since we've been kicked out of the lounge. So Elaine, good luck. Try not to scream at the TV too loudly. Hopefully all the shouting is done and dusted. Dave also, though, he raises an interesting point. I don't know whether he meant it to be interesting, but I find it interesting. He's put Jimmy Broadbent in there. We were talking about drivers obviously being slightly protected from social media, obviously at a young age, and it's not just at the young age either. I don't know how familiar you are with Jimmy Broadbent, Richard, but obviously that's a driver who has started in the sim world and grew to fame in the sim and everything like that, which gave him opportunities to go real world racing, but it's quite often had to take breaks due to sort of mental health and the pressures of it all, and the idea that he has to keep churning out content and everything like that. It's not for the faint-hearted, is it, to go down that route?
It's not, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. There are times during the season when we've got a little bit of battle on here. So Blakey ahead of Stokes. Nice move there in the do, and I'll need to come back to the doing the story a little bit later on. Yeah, so social media and mental health, and I hope you haven't had any of it yet, but I've had some trolling over the years, and you know, people coming up to me saying, "Well, I can't tag you on Twitter or this or that," and the reason being that when I get trolled, I just feel the best thing to do is step away from it, and it does happen. You know, why people do it, I don't know, but yeah, I find the best thing to do is switch off and walk away. So I can fully sympathise with what Jimmy's had, probably at a much worse level than I've ever experienced.
I think it's the pressure to keep churning out the content for him, isn't it, as well? And the problem is to make it. He meant Jimmy McRae, apparently, Dave says anyway. But I think Jimmy is. I think Jimmy Broadbent is a more interesting topic of conversation, to be honest. But it just goes to show my point is the fact that it's. He's about 30, I think, roughly 30s, and he has to have those. You just said it yourself, Richard. Obviously. A much wiser man than a lot of 11-year-olds out there who have aspirations to be at that level, and obviously they're trying to build this presence and business off the back of it and everything like that. But the problem is everybody's all very nice to you when you're only 11 years old. It's when you start having to step up and you become much bigger than you were that those sort of haters can start coming in, and that's what I think. There also needs to be protection for the kids. I have absolutely no idea what the answer is, because you can't stop kids getting those sort of followings, and mums and dads and media representatives do a brilliant job at building that up. But at some point there has to be, is it worth it sort of thing if they start getting a bit negative and stuff like that. You don't want to expose people too early, too fast, do you?
No, and I just think nobody should be exposed to any trolling or anything. Sorry, Rich, what was that?
That was just a spare Mark Stokes spun in the background.
Ah, okay, yeah, Stokes has got down to 11. Yeah, social media, it can be great. By and large, I'd say 95%, maybe a little bit more of my time on social media has been positive, and people have been lovely. But unfortunately, if I'm presenting to a room of people and there might be 60, 70 people in the room, you're always looking at the people that are scowling and that aren't enjoying it, and that's what happens with social media as well. So the negatives do ring, and whilst I always try and evaluate a negative and think about it and process it, it can be a nasty experience. We were watching the Louis Theroux thing last night on Bear Grylls. I don't know if you saw that, but that man's got such a lovely ethos in life. Work hard, be kind, which is the key thing. And that message comes through from the likes of Thomas Potters. So his Teapot's not with us, is it, today, chat?
Not this evening, no. I don't know why.
Which is a pity, but I get that from his his message, and that's just be kind to each other. There's no need to pick holes in.
just a little bit of information for you on the McRaes. So Alistair McRae, born 1970, British rally driver from Scotland who competed in the World Rally Championship, son of 5 times British rally champion Jimmy McRae and younger brother of Colin.
Someone's gone on someone's Wikipedia page there.
I have indeed, yes.
I don't know if he raced or not. The person who would know, in the Encyclopedia of Motorsport, is David Addison. He would know off the top of his head. I would probably know if it was, and it might be a club race, but yeah, if it's club racing, I'd probably know. David is the encyclopedia for everything international. The breaks tend to come on when we talk about other sports, unfortunately, which is a shame. But yeah, he's an absolute, walking Wikipedia, David. Extremely knowledgeable. And very funny as well. Equally as funny, actually, socially as he is on track commentaries. So if you ever get the chance to socialise with him, I heartily recommend that. He's great company. What's the gap now? 3.135 seconds or thereabouts. Smith to Gibson, 1 and 2. And this is looking very good for Jack Smith at the moment as we watch Oliver Gibson in P2. This has been a stunning drive from him. Craig Curtis still in third. Safe-ish podium at the moment. We're half an hour to go. 26 seconds adrift of the second place car and a gap of about 15 to Lee Piercy. So Craig Curtis looking good for third as we focus on our second place BMW. The BMs looking very good at the moment. Joel was a little bit despondent, wasn't he, about the BMs here today?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of work actually that's been done on the BMWs to almost slow them up, but he probably thinks that they haven't been slowed up quite enough here. I mean, Le Mans is a very individual circuit. It's just one of those almost wild cards where it's probably going to suit one car more than the other, but equally, as we were saying in the qualifying, the front row was BMW Merc, the second row was BMW Merc, so the Merc was competitive. It just so happens that unfortunately on the race distance, Joel Lask obviously couldn't live with it, and Craig Curtis couldn't quite live with it, so BMW, it does seem like a faster race car, but in other race circuits, it's not going to be so it's one of those things. I mean, Joel was saying that the Mercedes is overall, over all the course of the 8 rounds, he thinks the strongest car to go for. So you're going to have the days where they're not quite as hot as you want them to be, but the important thing is obviously trying to score points, which Joel has unfortunately not done today.
The other thing about Jack, he's a Le Mans expert as well. So I have to say, if you put him in any of the cars, he's maybe not be as far out as front as he is now, but he's an absolute demon at Le Mans. So that's going to be playing into his hands.
Wouldn't it be great if you got a team owner watching this and actually start picking up on some talent? We were talking about earlier on about how well the sim experience translates to when you go out into real world cars. Wouldn't it be great if we had a team watching this? I suppose the best documented recent one is Deegan Fairclough, isn't it? Who won the sim competition to get into F4. He'd been racing in the Fiesta Juniors. We're going to see. I think Deegan's the favourite this year for F4, but to me, absolutely lovely. I mean, I forget how many people he beat in that competition sim-wise. So. It really earned his drive and is maturing very nice. He was 18 actually yesterday. But it's so nice to have that tangible link between sim racing and real world racing and success as well. Love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was James Baldwin, that's it. I did just have to quickly Google it, but he was the one who made his breakthrough into British GT, wasn't he? Based on the back of sim racing. Rich, you probably know more than anybody, but that's the biggest profile I can think of that's come out of the sim racing real world scene and actually been very successful.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, obviously he's raced with Jensen Button as well. So I did a couple of years ago. I did some stuff with Jensen for a TV advert, and we had a good chat about it then. And he was highly admirable of what James had done, going from the sim racing into real British GT.
Yeah, it's stunning, really, isn't it? When you think of the opportunity is there. If the right person picks you up and you win the right competition, the problem is you have to win the top competitions in the world to have a chance at sort of decent level real world racing, isn't it? Because there's a lot of money, as we've been saying before, in putting someone through a real-world race. And I think even James Baldwin, who, as I said, has been very quick and has been a big profile, I think he's struggling to get a drive now. In fact, I don't think he is actually driving now.
I don't think so.
No, I think he was racing British ET a couple of years ago, still in the McLaren, but yeah, he hasn't been able to actually progress any on from that. So even the biggest profiles do struggle. It's a hard game to keep up with. That's why a lot of drivers actually drop off and don't fancy it anymore, to be honest. When he moved to Australia, he becomes disillusioned with the amount of effort and the heartbreak you get in the off-season. The sponsors are, almost dropping out at the last minute or not coming through on promises and everything like that, and it can be absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, probably the most notable one recently is Michael Crease, but we'll get back to that in a second because Johnny Ogden versus Paul Laramie is a fight for the top 5, Richard.
Yeah, this is great, isn't it? So Paul Laramie's got the upper hand at the moment. Although having said that, the momentum is with Johnny Ogden, who's got the inside run here. They're side by side, they're clean and tidy at the moment. Is this going to continue like this? Laramie with the Lamborghini holds sway in front. Johnny Ogden is going to have a look. Is he going to be able to squeeze through? It looks like he has. He's got the car completely in front. He's got the line into the next corner as well, and maintains it. So Johnny Ogden up into 5th position. When start on the grid, started in 9th place. So good progress, all about keeping it on the track, all about popping in some consistent lappery and some smart overtakes as well. Nice little dice there. Might well come back to life. We might see Paul Laramie do what we saw Oliver Gibson do earlier on and just take a little bit of a breather, watch and learn, and then come back and have another little go at trying to get back into 5th position. But good stuff from Johnny Ogden. And great to see him after his disappointment at the weekend coming back to have a go, because I thought we were going to miss him. I'm sure last time when we spoke to him, he said he was maybe going to take this round out for the real world racing, but a good antidote to have and a good way of getting your racing mojo back and getting some momentum back, I guess.
Do you know? I think maybe we should have a chat with Chris Blakey. I mean, he's up to 8th place now, and obviously he was fairly high up on the grid, had a spin, was at the back of the grid because he pitted very early, and now he's currently sitting in 8th place. So I'll pull Chris in and we'll have a chat with him if you're okay with that.
Great stuff. Johnny in 5th, only 23 seconds down on Adam Lyall and Chris Blakey. So let's have a chat with Chris. Early problems in the race, but things calming down a bit for you now, and a healthy 8th place at the moment.
How are we doing, gents? Yeah, that's not an ideal start to the race, but c'est la vie. We're making the best of it, getting some practice in, putting some times in, see what we can do.
Good solid stuff. And why the Demon Tweaks on the side? Do you get anything from them?
Kind of. They've got the sponsorship scheme which you can sign up for, get 10% off with. So they've been handy in real car parts for the real car. They've been quite handy with that. But yeah, Miss car look good as well. Better to have nothing on the car than have something on the car than nothing.
Yeah, it was giving us a little talking point. We were chatting about the real old days, which again you're probably too young to remember, as indeed Jack Oliphant was. When if you got a picture in the motorsport press, you get a voucher for Demon Tweaks, and kind of all got extinguished when a couple of lads were running stickers on Motors TV coverage, which was getting quite prevalent back in the day. There was a lot of content on Motors, and a lot of people running Demon Tweaks, trying to get more money out of them because it was TV, but didn't play off. It's nice to know they still incentivise stuff. That's good to hear.
They've still got a scheme where if you, obviously Instagram, social media, all that sort of stuff, if you use certain tags, they pick up at it, and they pick 6 of their sponsored members to be their drivers of the month, and you get 150 quid voucher if you're picked. So that's a healthy helping. I've won that once, thanks to John Elsie's picture of my car at Alton. Got a cracking picture of my car going past the BMW sign, which looks amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
Sponsoring 150 quid.
I think they're sponsoring the Audi TT Cup, aren't they, this year as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Title sponsor, which is really great. So thanks to them. And I hope their mentions and plugs on this will reward you with something as well. But lots for the rest of the race.
But all good fun.
Yeah, good. Just testing now for you. Is it this one?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just trying to get into good rhythms and kind of keep a consistent pace up rather than being up and down all over the place. It's last week at Spa was a bit gutting, but that was kind of my own fault for not practicing enough with full fuel and binning at the first corner. The lads were taking bets on whether I'd been at first, second, or third corner this race, but I managed a couple of laps before Joel did be a kipper. But I'll give him some grief about that later. But
What was your last race before today, Chris? Either real or virtual?
it was Spa last week.
The week before.
Was it?
Yeah.
Last
Yeah,
week?
a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, last weather round.
I've slept since. Yeah, it was. It was then. So yeah, that was my last race. We've got the next real race coming up in week Saturday at Thruxton with the BMW CCR boys. So looking forward to that because I've never been to Thruxton before.
Oh, you're gonna have it? What? Never been to it or never raced?
No, I'll tell you, I've been to it once to watch the touring cars once, many years ago. But no, this is the first time I think the BMW CCR has been there. So a lot of us are all fresh going there. So looking forward to it. Got some new brakes to fit at the weekend, ready for it. So
I take it. I can't remember specifically who's in what race, but when we did the mini championship with Virtual Reality Racing Club, were you in the Thruxton one there?
No, that's
yes.
not for the original mini, Chris. No.
Oh,
That was in 2020. It's before your time with us, mate.
Many moons ago. No, when did I start, Rich? Like a year and a bit ago?
About a year, just over a year ago, I think now, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, so only done a few championships with VRRC, but it's been great. And with Paul Laramie managed to rope me in, and then I've managed to since rope in several of the other BMW CCR guys, much to the disgrace, to the disgruntlement of their partners.
At least they know where they are. I mean, that's the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
No, I was going to say it'd be a treat for you going to Thruxton. Apart from the toilets, make sure if you use the toilets, use them early before the crowds.
Right. Okay.
I'll get it in the neck from Thruxton again after that.
I'll remember that. Yeah, it's a long old drive from Lincoln, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, enjoy the rest of the race, and thanks for that. I don't know if Jack wants to jump in and ask anything as well.
No, I was just going to say, Chris, it looks like you got some half decent pace behind you now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're sort of what could have been, I suppose, in this race?
Yeah, the BMW is a very strong car. You've got to say that. As much as there is calls to bop the BMW, I think it is very fair straight line speed. It's just a good car. BMW make good cars, so and yeah, I've just really clicked with it and doing well, and just trying to get some more time in the car and see how we go. Like I say, the tyres are just starting to go off now, so make a call of what to do next.
I was curious as well. We spoke to Josh Martin earlier. He gave us this radical idea that will probably never happen about digger racing. Is there anything, you've been with us for long enough now, over a year, racing. Yeah, we're trying this little endurance league style thing. Is there anything you'd quite like to see that maybe hasn't popped up that gives Rich something to think about?
Well, he's already done it. He did the he's doing the BMW Cup next, which obviously is right up my street, and
just for you,
the rest
Chris.
of the BMW guys. Yeah, just for me.
Just for you.
No, well, I think one of the first fun races I ever did was T-Rex racing, which was hilarious, and that was a while ago, but that was bloody good fun.
Yeah, just so you know, Richard, basically it was Tyrannosaurus Rexes racing around the track.
Okay.
It sounds stupid, but
and it
was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
You didn't. You got the sound of 6 or 7 Tyrannosaurus stomping down Brands Hatch Straight. Was just giggle worthy. It really was. It was great fun.
Was Andy McKeown commentating on it as well?
No, it wasn't broadcast. It was just one of our it was one of our in-house fun races. But yeah,
that would have completed the picture. Because Andy can commentate on anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, obviously they were running. The T-Rex were running around the track, and you had that dum 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 from every T-Rex as you went round, and the occasional roar. It was hilarious.
The
Good
only
fun.
dinosaur you got today is me in the commentary box, I'm afraid. So.
Well, Rich is there with you, so.
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
How much of the fee's going up?
I'm about to get disqualified anyway, so.
Yeah, I think we should leave you to concentrate on Mr. Jones in just in front of
Yeah,
you.
totally
So,
up on John. So what's
yeah.
the tactics here? Where are you going to pass him?
Wherever you'll let me.
You're nearly there. So, give us a... Oh, the picture's frozen at the moment, but give us a run through about your pass.
At the minute, he's looking like he's weak under braking, so I've just got to try and pick somewhere with enough braking space and enough corner things so I don't get turned in on. And we'll see where we go.
yeah, just use the draft on the straight. You'll get straight past it. Yeah. Right. Okay. Thanks very much, Chris. We'll let you carry on.
Chris.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Have a good one. Yeah, I didn't want to put Chris on. Yeah, I do want to put Chris on the pressure. It'd be lovely to hear him talk us through the.
Well, these
the
two
moves,
guys.
but,
These two guys have got history.
Oh, have...
Yeah, they've got history. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch this pass.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be all right as a result of that. He's having a little look up the inside now, so coming out of the Dunlop curves and sort of biding his time. You can see this is not urgent. It would have been a little bit unfair to make him do the driving and talking at the same time. Some people can do that. Some get very shouty.
I can't.
I used to like to think I could do it, but then I don't think I was ever really. The thing is, I wasn't ever going fast enough when I wasn't talking, so I think I was just not fast either. Which I mean, it does make it so you can be relatively entertaining, but it means that you're not really in the race, unfortunately. So yeah, a bit of a shame, but I think Chris Blakey seems to be slightly struggling to catch up to John Jones.
Yeah,
now, John Jones has seen that he's got an opportunity to actually have a fight with someone. He's going to try and take it, and it's you know working for him. Although he doesn't seem as quick through the chicane there as the BMW. This could be a fairly easy pass towards the end of the balls down straight now, Richard.
It could well be. He's getting a nice little toe here. This is shaping up quite nicely. Out of the slipstream, down towards the inside, nose in front, up into sixth position. Yep, that's job done.
It's never
Easy
job done with John Jones. It's never.
It's about as easy as it ever gets with John Jones. That one.
Yeah. He's good at defending.
Defends harder if he's a back marker. So it's he's slipped down into 8th. But to be fair, John's actually doing quite a good job as well inside the top 10. Is a fair old showing from him. He really has the pace. I don't think he's been involved with too much incidents, which is potentially why he's up where he is. You know, it's a perfectly good way to get good results. Jack Smith, though, is nearly 6 seconds up the road from Oliver Gibson. So that early battle that we saw and Oliver Gibson trying to give it back to him a little bit, somewhat gone by the wayside, hasn't it, since the pits?
Yeah, superb stuff, isn't it, from Jack? So I'm going to ask the question: do we see Jack and Oliver in sprint championships? We didn't see them in the minis that I was lucky enough to work with you guys on before. Do they do that?
Yeah, we do normally. Jack Smith is a former champion. Rich, is he a multiple champion?
Yeah, he's multiple champion.
Yeah, I was going to say he wins an awful lot of stuff. And Oliver Gibson, I think, hasn't won as many. Well, I think he's only won a handful of races, hasn't he? But over the course of the years, we've seen much more improvement from Oliver than we have from Jack. When I started commentating, Jack came to the championship, he's all automatically winning things. It was just like he just walked into the championship and that's what he did. Whereas Oliver, I think he was sort of fighting for that top 5 position and got the podiums, and now he's sort of within. I mean, it's hard to say here at Le Mans, but Richard has already said about how Jack Smith is a Le Mans specialist, and over the course of about 45 minutes or an hour, Oliver Gibson's still within 6 seconds. That means it's only a couple of tenths a lap, really, isn't it? So ultimately, I think that Oliver Gibson is getting closer. He's getting there. It just takes such a lot to try and get those last couple of tenths out of the driver.
We used to have.
Am I right?
Sorry, go on, Richard.
I was just wanted to check on and Oliver's the younger brother, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
He's got a bit more development time to get closer, isn't he?
For sure, yeah. We used to, funnily enough, we used to have a situation on our sign up for the championships where people would not sign up until they knew whether Jack was signing up or not. And I'm not joking. That literally happened.
Yeah.
So he's really quick. And actually, interestingly as well, we do a monthly masterclass for all of our members. Jack's taken over those masterclasses for me now, so he's going to be coaching all of our members on a free monthly masterclass. So we've got 12 different subjects we've put out there for everything to do with setting up your hardware, setting up the force feedback on your wheel to make sure it's the right feeling, etc., all the way through to the racing line, how to brake, all the different types of things that you do normally in driver coaching. So Jack's just taken that over for me.
That's absolutely mega. And there must be, going back to you saying about Oliver, there must be a lot of other drivers out there that spend a lot of time on their own equipment, their own rigs, practicing here, there, and everywhere, that haven't made the move into sim competition. And if any of those are watching this, you'd be very welcome to come along and get started. You have to start somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's quite nice to see those sort of drivers actually come through, and then you do see the improvements as they go through. I mean, we've got some drivers at VRRC that have been here for donkey years. This was before I started commentating, which must be over 2 years ago now. And the likes of Andy Carroll, Joel Lask has been here for a long time. I don't remember if he predates me, but Stuart Vickers. A driver that's been around for ages. John Jones.
Paul Laramie is one of the originals.
Paul Laramie easily predates me. So there's quite a few that you sort of see them over the course of the couple of years. It's almost easy to forget how far off they were when they started, in comparison to like really mixing it with the midfield and pushing up further forward for the likes of Andy Carroll and stuff like that. So it is nice to see, but then you get the sort of new drivers come in and enjoy the atmosphere, and they enjoy the sort of close racing and the stewarding and everything like that comes with it, the broadcast obviously, and they stick around, which is really, really good. So we have had some absolute stunningly quick drivers though. We're speaking about Jack Smith, others that you will know of, Richard, as well, who have raced with us. Going back to that a couple of weeks ago, we were at Brands Hatch, Jordan Brennan from the Civics. Utterly ballistic when it comes to a sim, and he used to race with us quite a lot. Never actually knew what he looked like until he pulled up in the pits near Neffing at Brands Hatch. But I asked him if he wanted to have a chat, and he said he would. And then had a chat with me before we went live, and he was expletives everywhere. I was like, I think we'll leave it.
Dave Marshall.
Calm down.
Dave Marshall as well.
Marshall, yeah.
I was about to mention Dave. Yeah, he was the next one. So when I went and had a chat with him for social media, it was quite nice, really, because it was like chatting to an old friend.
Yeah.
Dave used to do the. I think he was around doing the mini championship, obviously. You, Richard, wasn't
he? He did. Yeah.
So that's how Dave got involved with us. He was racing in that first mini championship, and then started doing some work with us as well.
Got a couple of prizes, didn't he, out of it as well?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did.
Did a test and a race, and I think, and finding his own in the Hondas. I mean, I don't know too much about Civic Cup in terms of the teams, but I think where he's placing himself, he's actually doing very well.
Yeah, well, he's in the FN2, so that is a car that isn't as necessarily as popular. Therefore, it hasn't had as much development, and the tricks of the trade haven't quite been learned. And the EP3 has been ran into the ground, hasn't it? Everybody knows everything about that car. So Dave Marshall was one of the few that jumped to it a couple of years ago, the FN2. And we've got Alistair Camp, who's now jumped to it. A few of the drivers have sort of decided that they'd give it a go. I think they've got 5 on the grid for it. So it's not exactly a massive grid, but Dave has won an overall race in that car as well. So like he's beaten the EP3s, which is nice. And Brands actually did quite well. He beat Alistair Camp, who, for anybody out there who doesn't know anything about Civic Cups, Alistair Camp is the name. He's the Colin Turkington almost of the Civic Cup. He's won a lot, and he's decided to jump over to the FN2. So it's a car that obviously takes a little bit of a while to get used to. And Dave runs it really well. So fingers crossed we see a bit more of a competitive championship within that little class. But I think he's going to learn a lot from Alistair. It's really good to see him develop.
It's good. It was nice for me to catch up with him in Brands Hatch, actually, when I had the walk around the paddock on one of the mornings. Can't remember which morning it was, but that's a great thing, because that was a link made through this, and I love that. That's what I love about racing, the little networks that happen, and you see people come out in different arenas, different formulas, with different backgrounds as well. And the people thing is very much what it's all about. And going back to your point, Jack, about new drivers coming through, which is great, and then you've got drivers that have been here a little bit longer as well. I love it when you get a championship. Like I was looking at the entry list for the Radicals at the weekend. They're guesting with us at Donington Park, and the Radicals. You've got the SR1s. Like basically, it's just a field of rookies, which is what you'd probably expect in the SR1s. The SR3s, my goodness me, there are some very, very good names coming through in that this year, and most of them in what they call the Fangio class, which is I think for the drivers over 50. So you've got a lot of those, a lot of very quick young professional drivers coming through as well. And that's just one example. I mean, this weekend at Donington, I looked at all the entry lists, apart from one. The Legends cars haven't given me theirs. Boo. Because they're still trying to decide it or finalise it, I think. But all of the formulas that are on this weekend, the numbers of some of them might not be quite as big, but the quality of the entries, we're in for a mega weekend's racing, and whether you're going to touring cars or GTs or whatever, you're going to have a fantastic weekend this weekend for sure.
Yeah, sorry, Jack. I'll be at Silverstone this weekend for the British GT. I'm running a simulator there with Century Motorsport, Ian Goff and Tom Wrigley. They're driving the BMW GT4 in the British GT this weekend, so I'm supporting those guys and running a simulator for them as well.
That's going to be a mega weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, can't wait.
It's a shame that they clash actually, because I'd love to have gone and had a look. And on our commentary team, we miss out because a couple of the people that we normally work with are coaching. Drivers in Ginetta Junior or in British GT, so we miss out. I've actually got a new co-commentator this weekend. I can't tell you who it is yet because we're embargoed on it, but really looking forward to my new co-com on F4 this weekend.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll have to tune in and wait to see, won't we? When's it getting announced?
I've absolutely no idea. Probably Sunday morning.
Some point before Sunday.
It's probably Sunday morning. We had that in the past, actually. We had in the COVID years when we were struggling to get people into our little broadcast bubble in COVID. We'd got someone sorted out, and I said to the program editor at that time, can I put something on social media? No, don't do it, can't do it. And in the end, there was no announcement made at all, and we just rocked up with I think it was Lydia Walmsley, just rocked up, and there was no big announcement or anything, which was a shame for Lydia's part. But she did well with us, and actually Lydia did one of that. That's how Lydia came into that. Actually, Rich, was because she did a co-commentary with us, didn't she?
Yeah, she did in Minis. Yeah.
On the JCWs.
Yeah.
And the ITV editor actually was, they're always very worried about who they get in terms of, are they going to be able to work okay with, with whoever they're commentating with? Do they know enough about the racing? Are they going to be fluent enough to be able to do it?
A couple of people in the pits.
I went back and sorry.
A couple of people in the pits.
Yeah, I'll come back to me.
Sorry,
Chris Blakey.
yeah, Chris
No,
Blakey
it's all right. No, you're absolutely right to pull things back to reality. That's a shame. Chris Blakey, isn't it? He was running well.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned his tyres were starting to go off, wasn't it? I mean, remember, he pitted right at the very beginning of the race because he had that damage.
Yeah.
I'd be slightly surprised if he came into the pits because his tyres were dying 7 minutes from the end there. Maybe misfueled if he came in that.
That's true. That's true.
Because you'd have thought he would just carry it to the end. He's going to lose a lot more places coming into the pits than he would do by being half a second or a second even off the pace. So it's a bit of a strange one, to be honest. But he is back out. He's in 7th. He has only lost 1 place, so maybe it's not that big a deal for him. He's still ahead of. No, he's not ahead of John Jones.
John Jones
he's been overtaken by Ogden and John Jones now, so he's just lost 2 places potentially, I think. Bit of a shame for him, but yeah, I think ultimately, I remember doing the TCR a couple of weeks ago, and I asked, can I put a thing out on LinkedIn and everything like that? Because I wanted to try and make a decent deal of it and everything like that for my own personal ego, obviously. And I got told completely, no, you're not allowed. We're doing an announcement and everything like that. Gets to 2 days before the event. And I text them saying, am I allowed to say anything? Yeah, come on, what's going on? They were like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we should do a post announcing the commentary team. It's like, oh, cheers. Right, okay, fair enough. So yeah, it is a bit annoying, these sort of media embargoes. I feel like if the decision is made, just announce it. I don't really see why.
Yeah, I think
they obviously have their reasons.
Yeah, it's down to them, isn't it? And yeah, sometimes it can feel like you're doing your job with one hand, professionally tied behind your back. But yeah, they would have a reason for it. And yeah, work's work, isn't it? At the end of the day. So it was a good meeting, though. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good fun.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Go on then.
So gap between Jack and Oliver is 6.5 seconds.
Right.
I reckon in the next 5 minutes that gap's going to come down to about half a second.
Via Oliver chasing or Jack backing off?
By Jack backing off. I think they're gonna go for a photo finish.
Ah.
The old Ford strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seen many a time at Le Mans as well.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think they've got 34 seconds from Oliver back to Craig, haven't they? So they've got plenty to play with.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, Oliver did say that he was going to fight it. He said he wanted to win. So Jack might do that at his own peril. He might hit it with a line. That'll make for an entertaining phone call, wouldn't it, between the family?
Yeah, indeed.
Liveries look good as well, don't they? All through the grid. I was going to say the liveries look super, don't they? All the way through the grid.
Yeah, we just missed a place there. Change. Oh!
Wow, well, that's Lee Pearcey going round. I never like to say a spin. He's rotating in style. Unfortunately, he was encouraged to rotate a little bit too quickly, wasn't he, for himself there? And it just looked like himself and Mark Stokes got a bit crossed up, and that allowed Josh Martin to somehow get back into the top 10, which I'll forever not know how. We haven't really seen Josh Martin apart from spinning. And he's forever popping up in strange situations, but he overtakes those two. And I don't think that Lee Pearce will be overly pleased with Mark Stokes' driving.
And they renew battle, don't they, now?
Indeed.
For the last 4 minutes, 0.7 seconds is actually the closest gap we've got out there on circuit. Apart from that is Chris Blakey and John Jones, and the next closest is actually the battle of Josh Martin and Stuart Vickers, and then the battle for the race lead as well. So everybody seems to have gapped themselves out. The gap between Stuart Vickers and Chris Blakey, and then Adam Lyall and Craig Curtis are the two biggest out there, well over a minute and 20. Probably do a lap at Donington in that time, couldn't you? And they still wouldn't catch up to each other. So it's a bit of a big margin, a bit of a shame we've had so much injuries. Well, not injuries, but people spinning off and going into the Armco or into each other, really. It's a little bit fragmented, this race, hasn't it?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And the marathon has ended up with a big split over the drivers, is my point, though, isn't it? It's a bit of a shame we've sort of lost that top 3 battle that looked like it was sort of going to give us some good entertainment. We lost it within the first 2 or 3 laps, which is a bit of a shame. But, fingers crossed that come the BMW Cup and the shorter races, people get a little bit more comfortable again.
Gap's gone out 7 seconds now.
Yeah, it has, you're right. Yeah. Well, this is, I think this is one more lap. I think we're at just under 3 minutes left, so obviously this is Jack is about to start his final lap.
Yeah, it's been a good race from this pair. It's been enjoyable. I'm sorry for the people that have had problems. Obviously, it's much better to see drivers on track. Having said that, we've still got 16 of the 18 drivers circulating, including Olivia Krzyżanowska, who's doing very well indeed in 14th. And hopefully we'll be persuaded to chat to us next time, which will be great just to get a little bit of perspective. Although I won't be here, so it'll be Andy and Jack that will be doing it at Sao Paulo.
Sounds good.
I'm sure you'll get called back up to the Commons box all the time, Richard. I wouldn't worry about that. You'll be seeing plenty of VRRC action over the course of the next couple of weeks. And it's been actually fascinating, although however much I love Andy, obviously, it's been fascinating to have a second person, another person in the booth, sort of with fresh stories and takes on things. It's been quite nice, to be honest, and fingers crossed we'll obviously have you back for the BMWs every so often. That'd be lovely, and yeah, it's lovely working with different people. The commentary box door's always open if you're at Touring Car Meeting. Come and see what we do. I'm not one of the shutout guys. I always welcome people to come up. If we've got the space to do it and to work with as well. Absolutely.
You'll have a queue outside the door now.
Well, not people. Someone did ask today about coming up to Donington at the weekend, but we are a little bit frazzled this weekend. But I welcome people coming up and just saying hello. It's what it's about. This is what it's about, isn't it, for Jack Smith? Super drive and 8 seconds now. So
yes.
He's doesn't want the photo finish.
Yeah.
Other than being on his own in shot. Yeah, super drive, pole position, mega stuff. He's had to race for it as well, which is, a good note as a journalist you take away. It wasn't handed on the plate. There were some overtakes that had to be hard fought in the early stages.
Absolutely, and he's not letting up either because he's about a 10th up on his fastest lap. So he's going for that fastest lap. I don't know actually who's got the overall fastest. It may well be Jack Smith. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Yeah, 3 minute 55.138. He wants to get, by the looks of it, that 54 that he secured in qualifying. It'd be fairly impressive if he manages it, but he's currently about a 10th up, so which means he's in the ballpark for it at least. With Oliver Gibson, dropping off the boil in somewhat and sort of giving up the ghost. He's obviously not going to get first. He's probably not going to get caught for third. There's no point crashing it as the timer ticks down to 10 seconds to go. We've got about half a lap with, even less than that, actually, probably about a third of a lap with Jack Smith just about putting the afterburners on to try and secure that fastest lap point.
Absolutely right. And just thinking about championship points with the DNS last time out with his studies, this is going to propel him, I think, into the championship lead. So as long as he maintains this form going into the other rounds, then he is going to be well away. Out of homage for the last time down into the Porsche curves, which we can tell from the signage. And yeah, super race. Is he going to be able to get the fastest lap of the race? Gibson 8.2 seconds down. So again, none too shabby in second position. Craig Curtis is going to complete the podium as things stand at the moment.
He's been superb, hasn't he, Jack Smith?
Yeah.
Really, apart from that start, he's not really put that much of a foot. Well, he always put a massive foot wrong there. He's lost a lot of time actually going wide of that corner, unfortunately for him, but he's been fairly superb, hasn't he? And as he rounds out the final couple of corners, it's going to be yet again a Jack Smith victory here at the VRRC as he absolutely clatters the curb and ruins all of that time he made up over the last couple of miles. But he takes the checkered flag and he takes the race victory. It's going to be a 1-2 for Smith and Gibson yet again here at VRRC. The gap at 8.5 seconds, which just goes to show you can never guarantee anything in motorsport, even Rich Hayes being right. Craig Curtis, third place, will probably round out the podium. We've got about 40 seconds to wait to see it confirmed, and then we've got a lot longer wait until the rest of the field. But Jack Smith was absolutely superb there, Rich, wasn't he?
Yeah, super job right from qualifying, getting in that early lap. And as we said, qualifying was a tricky one. They had to bang the lap in, got the banker in. That was the lap that got in pole position. Short qualifying, into the race and away. Here's Craig Curtis. We did talk to Craig, didn't we? So it'd be nice to catch up with him and have our first chat of the day.
I think we'll go to an advert and then we'll have a chat with the...
There are the two brothers having a celebration. Yeah, so sorry, Rich. Yeah, we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
So fantastic race, and to kick us off, doing the honours on the podium, let's hand you back to Jack.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. I'm going to have Craig Curtis to have a chat with us. First of all, Craig, big congratulations in the third place. In the end, a bit of a lonely race, though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Obviously, I was a bit annoyed after Spa last time out. Binned it after 20 minutes. So I promised myself I wouldn't bin it this time round, and then got a good start. Beat Jack. I think Jack just bogged down off the line. I think it was a fight between Oliver, Joel, and myself into turn one, and lap one, going into the sort of flat out, the heavy braking. I hadn't driven the car on full tanks, hardly at all, so lost the rear, went off on lap one. I thought, oh no, not again. And so basically, yeah, managed to rejoin in fifth. I didn't hit the wall this time, thank God. And then I think lap 2 or 3, carnage erupted ahead of me. I think it was Joel and Chris. Joel must have lost it in the first sector, and Chris, I think, was an innocent victim in all of that. And then I just got up into third place, and I thought maybe I can try and rein in the Beamers a little bit, the DK Power Boys, but yeah, it wasn't meant to be. So yeah, a bit of a lonely race. But yeah, I think about 2 or 3 laps before the end, I think Mark and Lee had a bit of a coming together just in front of me, coming into the end of the Mulsanne. So it wasn't. It was quite a hairy moment, but managed to avoid it. Thank God.
Well, you're picking up some decent points, though, isn't it? A lonely race, but a podium is always worth taking. It's never to be sniffed at, is it? And I think that's just brought you into the top 10. So, yeah, ultimately, it's a podium's a podium, isn't it? I suppose you can't be too disappointed, even if it is a little bit lonely.
It is, yeah. I mean, I have to say big thanks to Joel. He helped me massively with the setup over the weekend, and because I was nowhere really. I probably wouldn't even have got into the top 6 or 10 potentially without his help. So I want to say big thanks to Joel, and yeah, hopefully I can repay the favour. When I found out he was just behind me, I thought, well, I might well give him the space near the end if we run it together, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Well, I'm sure he appreciates the thanks at least, and there's always the BMW Cup, which I assume you're back for.
Indeed, yes. Looking forward to that. I haven't really driven the car yet, so I gotta get. I have to get the practice in ASAP. So hopefully, yeah, I'm a bit of a slow improver as the championship goes on, as we've seen previously. So hopefully, I'll be near the front this time again.
I'm sure you will. It's going to be exciting for us to see. Craig, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Leighton. He obviously watches the races all the time. My father-in-law Kim as well. He's been watching it as well, and so yeah, obviously my dad used to watch it before we lost him sadly a couple of months ago. So yeah, just want to say big thanks to those guys.
Well, very well done. I'm sure they were very excited watching you as well. Craig, big congratulations on the podium.
Thank you, Jack.
Well done, Craig. As Jack said, into the top 10 of the championship now. And a driver who was 10th coming into the round, but now moving up into 5th position in the championship. Second place goes to Oliver Gibson. Oliver, super race, mate. Well done.
Cheers, thank you. It was a tricky one, but and a long one. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's sort of how I planned it and wanted it to go. Obviously, I would have liked to win, but there was no stopping Jack. I mean, every time I do a fast lap, he'd go faster. So it was getting a bit annoying, a bit frustrating. But no, I'm just happy I had to do. I had the chance to battle with him, and obviously Joel, bit of boot scooting boogie on the first lap. But yeah, no, pretty good race overall.
It was great. I think one of the highlights for me was, the fact that you and Jack had such a great battle, particularly just coming up to just before half distance where you traded places. I mean, we lost count of how many times you did it, but you both did so cleanly. So it's a good, healthy competition between you both, but also great respect as well. Talk us through some of that dicing that we had.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jack have we've practiced together before, and we've had battles similar. So we've always sort of said, what if we do it on the stream in a proper race? So finally today we managed to get one, well, because I was close enough for a change. So that was fun, but it's not really as feisty as we might get in practice compared to today.
Okay.
I remember Imola. We had a bit of a incident at Imola into turn 1. I won't put the blame on anyone, but I won't point fingers. But it wasn't me, so I just want to let that be clear. But yeah, no, just hopefully we get more battles like that, especially with Joel as well. Me and Joel's battle at the start was probably one of the best ones I've had in a while. So yeah, hopefully I get a couple more and win a couple more.
That'd be good to see. Going back to the sort of brotherly relationship, do things ever get a little bit strained, and how quickly can you smooth them over?
No, we never get strained. We know we would
good.
practicing last night and the night before, and I mean, if I didn't have Jack, I'd be nowhere because he makes the setups and he's brilliant at that, and then helps me with, you know, the lap and the race and things like that. Just things I wouldn't pick up on or be able to do. So yeah, we've got a good brotherly relationship there. So always helps in racing.
Yeah, that's good. I might have missed it if Jack had said it earlier on. Jack commentator, that is. What's the age difference between the pair of you?
Well, I'm turning 17 next month, and then Jack is, I think, 25 in November. So it's 8 years. It's
So-
not too big.
No, it's so you've still got that sort of development time to catch up. And so 17, obviously the next thing is provisional license and get out there in the car. I guess that's all planned ready, is it?
I've got mine. I'm ready. Just waiting for my birthday now, so. I
And
can
when
get
is
on
it?
the road. The 18th of May. So,
Oh, that's not too far at all, is it? Oh, great. So,
No.
that's good. Wish you well with that. It's
thank
a
you.
great experience.
Yeah, it's on a Saturday as well, so not even at college.
Fantastic. And studies going well for you at the moment?
Yeah. Exams coming up, so I struggled a bit in the mocks, but I'm feeling a lot more confident now. I've put some revision into it and studied a bit harder, so should be all good.
Are you going to go down the sort of race engineering route as well?
I'm not sure it's for me. It's all the hands-on. I know there's obviously you don't have to do the hands-on stuff and there's data things, but I'm not sure it's really for me. But I'd like to work somewhere where there is cars, so maybe in like a businessy side of it or something like that.
Yeah, plenty of opportunities in the industry for sure. Highlight of the race for you today?
I don't know. Must be the start. I like the start, and then probably the start. I was gonna say the battle with Jack, but we've got probably a couple more of those, so definitely the start today.
Cool. Well, Oliver, it's been a pleasure to chat to you for the first time today and to watch you race. Really enjoyed watching you and everybody raced in the championship today. So very well done on P2, and I hope we get to catch up again in the near future.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
There's just one interview to go. So, Jack, with our winner.
Yeah, cracking. It's, well, first of all, just to follow on from that interview with Oliver Gibson, if it's the 18th of May, first time out in the car, come down to Snetterton by all means and come and say hello. It'll be really interesting to actually see a couple of people, so it'll be pretty cool. Right, Jack Smith in the comms box once more, not for the first time this evening, of course. Pole position. We had a chat to you halfway through the race, and you end up coming out on top. It wasn't as easy as that, was it?
No, yeah, the start was horrendous. I got on the grid and just completely forgot that I hadn't practiced starts. So getting away was a bit of a sketchy one. I sort of turned traction control off, thinking maybe I can use the clutch a bit, and then I lifted the clutch up and it just bogged, and I was like, oh, there we go, that's it. And then everyone just went past me. So then I just sort of put my head down. I had to avoid that little battle in front little crash in front of me going onto the mall sign. That was a bit sketchy, but luckily chose the right way to go, and then it was just catching on from there.
You were given a little bit of a headache though, weren't you? It wasn't all your own way when you caught up to Oliver. He said in his interview, what we were chatting to him live, he was going to give it you some. He was going to give it as best he could. Did you expect that from him? Because I mean, there was about 4, 5, 6 laps that he kept coming at you, didn't he?
Yeah, to be honest, I've been wanting Ollie to come back at me for ages now, so I'm really happy he started to properly battle me and everything. So, yeah, I mean, he's come on since he started sim racing. He's come on leaps and bounds. So I'm really, really happy that he's got to a point now where we're battling, but like at the top level. I don't have to let off or anything, and he's catching me up and everything like that. So, yeah, it's really nice to see, and it was actually quite nice to get a proper battle on stream for once, because we do this battling stuff offline, on the practice servers and everything, and then it never happens in the race. So yeah, but when me and Ollie race, it's always really clean and it's always really, really enjoyable. So got loads of respect for each other. If anything does happen, it's always pointing the blame, and I have no idea what he means about that Imola incident
I was
at
going to
all.
ask this. What you were saying about it? I wanted your perspective, Jack.
Well, he left a gap, and the rest is history.
That's enough. He left the gap. It's enough for a driver to admit blame.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not gonna say anything else other than that, but yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, it was in practice, so I mean, we glossed over it, and it was a bit of a laugh. So yeah.
Well, we look forward to. I was going to say it's all very fun and games, isn't it? Up until the point where he's driving so closely to you that there ends up being that contact. But hopefully, it continues not to happen. I'm sure it wouldn't be malicious either way, would it? So, congratulations, Jack. And last thing, actually, Rich was telling us a little earlier that you're going to be doing the masterclass with VRRC every month now. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I've got loads of stuff planned. Just as I help Ollie, I want to help everyone else. So, got a bunch of stuff planned that I know deep down and just want to help everybody understand as well. So hopefully if any of you guys watching want to get involved in that, I can teach you the ways. So yeah, get everyone on pace. Why not? It'd be great racing. Wouldn't you want to see like 0.001 gaps? I'm sure you'd love that.
I would.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
would.
There you go.
Yeah, me
So
and Richard and Andy would be all here for
Yeah,
it. If you can
exactly.
make that happen, Jack, we'll give you a VRRC knighthood.
Yeah, well, I'll try my best. Just want to give a few shout outs as well. So big shout out to my mum, my stepdad who I know is watching, Mike from Simon Thorpe Motor Services, Simon Thorpe and David Kempton all watching, I'm sure, tonight. So big shout out to you guys, and yeah, thanks for everything you've done for me in the last few years.
Actually, that's a good point. And very quickly, if Oliver Gibson, I know you're still in the Discord, I don't know if he's listening or not. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out? Maybe that's not the same as what's Jack just done, or you can repeat it. I don't really mind.
I think he's named all of them really. I mean, I guess, did you say Brian?
Oh yeah, shout out Brian, Sherman Rubber, and Bob,
And Bob,
watching from up there.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to Dave Kempton for sending me the text messages that he used to send me?
Don't mention it.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. That's an in-joke, Jack.
Yeah.
Well,
that was-
done, Jack. Congratulations on the race win and everything like that, and looking forward to having you both, all three in the comments box actually at the moment at the BMWs. I'm sure we'll chat to all of you then.
Thanks, Jack.
So there we go. That's end of another evening's racing. It's been great fun. Thank you to Rich Hayden for inviting me along. To Jack Oliver for some great co-coms, mate. It's lovely to catch up with you the other day for real. Look forward to seeing you at Snetterton in a few weeks' time. The last voice we heard from Jack Smith, our new championship leader, who's got a 19-point lead as things stand presently over Joel Lask. Johnny Ogden in third from Eric Axelson. Oliver Gibson, we also heard from on the podium in fifth position. The next round of the Virtual Reality Racing Club World Endurance League will take place. We're going for a Brazilian, Sao Paulo, next time out. And that is, as you heard Jack say earlier on. Thank you ever so much for watching. Thanks everyone for racing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for co-commentating and organising. Be safe, be well, enjoy your racing.